Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded episode 26, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and I'm joined by the usual suspects in Ryan, aka Yip, aka Cognitive Pit. How you doing?
Great. Coming at you this time from the Twin Emps room, since there's two of us sitting here. It's a little teaser for anyone who isn't listening in on this live stream. We do live stream now, and you can see all the fun places I end up.
Yep, on twitch.tv/mash those buttons. We're also joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How are you doing today?
I am good. I'm back in town, so better now.
Yeah, you were out of town for the last week and been traveling all day, so it's probably good to be sitting here talking about WoW, right?
Well, we'll see. As long as you guys are excited enough to keep me awake. So.
Yep. Well, we will try. But we are also joined by the infamous BingoJones, Yip's brother. You've heard a lot about him over the different episodes. He also was on one of the episodes leading up to Christmas. But he's back here to talk with all of us. How are you doing, Bingo?
I'm very excited to be back on the podcast, guys. I got to admit, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's your first one with multiple people on instead of just you and me.
Yeah, so this is very exciting.
Yeah, the first one live stream too.
True, it did. No, this is your
yeah.
first live stream.
It's like,
cut him some slack, guys.
No,
It's Bingo.
All right.
Hey,
well,
Bingo gives us free content a lot of the time.
True. And we're going to catch up with him today, as long as we're going to do a few things on this episode. We're going to start out with housekeeping. Then we're going to move on. There was no news this week, and I don't foresee us having much news leading up to BlizzCon Line coming here February 19th. So there's probably not going to be a lot of news. If there is, we will definitely cover it, but not today. So we're going to first go over Vargflocken's Naxx progress and what we've each been doing this week in WoW. Then we're going to kind of catch up with Bingo, just kind of how his journey's been. If you listened to the last one that he was on, you got to kind of see how his journey was going, but he's really made a lot of improvements and doesn't give us as much funny content anymore because he's really quite on top of his game now. So we're going to catch up with him. And then we're going to talk about some interesting strategies for clearing Naxxramas quicker. And then we're also going to talk about the big things coming in TBC. And we thought it'd be interesting with Bingo on because he never played TBC. So we're going to kind of go over just the big things coming. And that's going to be the episode. So might not be the longest episode, but who knows with this crew. So we'll just have to
we've said that before.
Yeah, I know.
I'm pretty sure we've had notes for an episode once that was just like, we've got nothing, just riff, and it ends up being 2.5 hours long.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Everybody says there's not much to talk about, but I have to disagree with them. All right, so let's move in. I was on the Con Before the Storm WoW Classic panel last night with Def Camp, Meldron, Josh Corbett, and we talked about a whole bunch of fun stuff. You guys can check that out on your podcatchers. You just search Con Before the Storm, or you can check out the VOD on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Con Before Storm. There's no the in it. I guess they couldn't get that, but so it's just Con Before Storm. So if you want to check that out, please do. I had a blast with him. We could have talked for another 4 hours, but we didn't. No new iTunes reviews this week, but we did have a review on Reddit. Yip, you want to take that?
Yeah, so this is from Kekfilla, although I'm really hoping it's Kekfilet, like Chick-fil-A. That's what I'm going to go with, Kekfilet. Since I'm severely lazy to leave a review anywhere else, which I can understand. I understand. I really like this episode. I've listened to the past few episodes and loved that my alt rogue is sitting on your same server alliance doing nothing. My main is Horde on another. A guest talker is a guest talker is great every time you guys have one, and appreciate making my work day go by faster. And that's from Kekfilet on Herod. Appreciate it. Yeah, that was left after the Salv Dali episode, which I think was really, really good. He really took over and gave us a lot of awesome info.
Yeah, he carries a show. He's just, I mean, he's got the voice that is complete best in slot, and he's just a real chill dude that can explain things in a way that you like to listen.
Yeah, definitely a worthwhile episode to check out if you want to see what like the real top people are doing and what the race to World Force Naxx clearing was. Really, really interesting stuff.
Yep,
A high
definitely.
contrast to what we will give you most weeks.
Yeah, high contrast of what we're about to give you when we go over our
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, okay, so before we go into Naxx, like, have you guys been doing anything else besides Naxx stuff? I know Bingo was working on second characters, right?
Yeah, I leveled a hunter, but he's mainly used for farming now, farming up some gold. But got a lot of frost resist this week, so that's kind of what I've been doing.
Okay, I also got a lot of frost resist, and then was reading Raider chat, and I was like, okay, there's like 20 people being like, we need everyone to have frost resist. Yes, even the healers. And then there's like another 20 people being like, no, the healers don't need any frost resist. And I'm like, oh my God, somebody just tell me if I need this or if I can sell it.
So the problem is we didn't really know. I can easily look at logs. Here's the problem: is we don't really have like a heal officer who's like scouring logs in our guild and like seeing what healers should be doing.
What?
I think having more frost resist is useful, but when you look at any logs, and the logs are people who are top tier, right? These are people who are almost definitely always world buffed when they're doing saffron and things like that. A lot of their healers are wearing none, especially their priests are wearing full tier 2, and then some of the other healers will have some frost res on it. And if you have a priest that doesn't have full tier 2, or if they have like a couple bad pieces, they're switching it out with frost res. The problem is we don't know what makes it like as easy as possible. Like if you're fully
Right.
world buffed with a 40-man group and you're going in there, is it better for healers to have frost res or not? We just didn't know. So we did have all of our healers get frost res, but
I got it.
it was pretty
Don't
intense.
worry.
Yeah, it was pretty intense when we went in there, though. So
Yeah,
we'll
I mean,
see if we keep.
It's because I wasn't there.
yeah, and big shout out to one of our tanks, executive. I don't know how he did it, but he got a lot of runes somehow, and he sold them pretty much half price to a lot of people and helped.
He sold them with his
Yeah.
rogue, so rogues can go solo frozen runes. They just get they get the words of thawing, and then they can just go in to their own raid lockout and then just get frozen runes. So he was doing that a lot and selling them in the guild, which definitely helped a lot of people.
Yeah, helped a lot.
Yeah, our guild was handing out some, but then Exec was selling them for a discount, which
It was about 20 gold per, I think it was 19 or 20.
Yep.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then
When
normally
they
they're
were
like
going
30
for
to 40.
They're down to 30 now, but they were going for 40 when he was doing that. So that was super helpful to the guild. I've been also getting frost res. I've been getting frost res for other people too, like Mel, and I helped Elizabeth get his cloak and some of the runes that he needed extra that the guild bank didn't provide, and so I've been helping a lot of people do that. Still playing the auction house, being thankful that I have a lot of money to actually make that work. And yeah, I've not really been playing a whole ton besides just trying to make money, trying to make sure I'm on top of consumes, because there's like 75 different things I have to come with every time, and I always forget one thing. But yeah, that's all I've really been doing. I'm thinking about starting a rogue before we end this whole boosting meta, because I kind of want a rogue for TBC and I really want one for Wrath, but right now might be a really good time to just boost one up pretty cheap. But that's what I've been thinking about doing. Anything else you guys have been doing besides Naxx?
All of Naxx focused.
All Naxx, baby.
Just making money for Naxx and then doing Naxx, and then just trying to sustain, helping other people get their frost res, of course, as well too. But Naxx has been pretty involved, and we sort of ended up in a I don't want to say a meta, but a situation where like a lot of our guild is pretty much raid logging, which is fine, but it is like very Naxx focused in our guild right now.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I feel like have just been living vicariously through Discord because I've been out of town, so I haven't played in a week. And I've just been like following the Raider chat, being like, oh, okay. Oh, they did it.
yeah, well, I mean, we did make progress. So, Yip, why don't you take us through the progress we did make?
Yeah, so we had our normal Tuesday where we downed 11 bosses, which is great. And then we had killed Lotheb last week, so that was our first little bit of progress. And we once again came in on Thursday and one-shot Lotheb. Again, down a couple people. We're struggling. We're having to sit people on Tuesdays, but then we can't fill on Thursdays, which is our
That's
progression night.
Yeah, that's
which
the
is
way it
kind of the
always
opposite.
goes, dude.
It's
Like,
just the opposite of what we need. We need people showing up Thursday, and if you need a night off, take it on Tuesday, please, because
yeah,
we need our full 40.
Every-
But we one shot Lotheb
well, hold on
so
though.
much simpler.
Every guild I've ever
Yeah.
been in has been like that. Like, everybody wants to come for the gear pinata days, but don't want to come for the actual work days.
I've only ever been in progression guilds where people were really like interested in progression. I've never really had a problem, but I guess that's also retail was the last like few raid tiers that I'm thinking of where missing a person doesn't even matter. So it's been a while since in actual WoW, not classic WoW, that it even mattered if you were missing somebody. But
Okay,
yeah, in
okay,
classic, it's
interesting.
just a blank space is a blank space, and you're just hurting yourself. But luckily, we still easily killed Lotheb. We have a couple tips and tricks that we'll be talking about later that I think we employed to make it even easier. And then we went over to Four Horsemen and we one-shot them, which was really awesome. We had not downed Four Horsemen yet, and we used the strategy where we just nuked down Thane, and it was very close. It was like pretty sketchy. We needed to go a little faster, but we were missing probably 7 or 8 DPS. Didn't have world buffs at that time. We had a couple deaths on Lotheb, unfortunately. And then we were also
Did you
missing, I
have
think,
40?
at least 2 people. We did not have 40. We were missing probably 2 people, 3 people.
I think it was 2 at that point. And
yeah.
Did
I
you
think we were
have
missing
12 healers?
We had 12 healers exactly. Yeah.
to be
Okay.
fair, though, I was pretty impressed with the guild because it really was our second night trying. We had only attempted like basically 5 or 6 attempts prior on the week before, and then we just went in there Thursday. We did do a lot of talking about what we do need to do, what the fight entails all through the week in Discord, which I really do think helped a lot. At least it helped me connect the dots on some of the things I was a little confused on. And we just plowed through that thing. I mean, it did get a little sketchy, a little scary at times, but we did make it. It
Yeah,
was pretty cool.
I think because we hadn't really gotten to it, we hadn't also talked about it very much. After we killed Thane, I think people immediately became very lost about what the rotation was supposed to be. We'd
Yeah.
explained it, but I think people weren't really expecting us to just go in and kill Thane
sure.
and be able to get a kill. So people were just all over the place. And even after Mograine died, I think people were very confused about like when people need to move in. Once healers started dropping, we had times I had to sacrifice myself. I ran in to Zeliek because there were no healers in, and I forget who was in. Maybe Bob was about to die, and I was like, I'm just gonna go in and like I'll just use all my health until a healer's stacks drop off. Like I'm gonna last stand and stuff, and hopefully we'll be okay. And we ended up being okay. It was pretty sketchy, really sketchy at the end.
At least for me, for my role, was pretty cool because I used like my life-giving gem at one point where I would have died, but I survived because of it. I used 2 different health pots. I mean, I was like, and I, at the end there, I was having to decide when to like relieve somebody. So we're talking, I'm like, I'm going in now, and it was really cool. But for the first part of the fight, it was like I got a new timer thing and it helped me a lot, like that counts the ticks. And so I was just moving in on the ticks, and that helped until it got a little crazy at the end with the last 2 bosses. And then the last one is the one where everybody's like almost wiping the raid because they're getting too close and everything. And you're like, do I pass on the right? Do I pass on the left?
Oh,
What do I
God.
do? But it was cool. I mean, it was really cool.
Yeah, it was really intense and on the fly. What was it like for you, Bingo? Mel wasn't there because Mel
Well,
missed this week.
Sorry.
I'm always just so nervous doing that. Like I'm sweating, I'm shaking going in the room, but it worked out. I'm so glad and so happy we got him down.
Did you make it all the way through, or did you die?
I died. I think I died halfway through.
Okay,
About
so
halfway through the fight.
So he's the reason we made it harder for us now.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what am I supposed to do after we got one of the guys down? What are you supposed to do after that? I had no idea.
Yeah,
See-
so I think once we clarify for people what we do when things go right, I think it'll be easier next time. But like people immediately once Thane was down, I think everyone's rotations got messed up. I went in to relieve exec on Mogreen, and there wasn't another tank to come relieve me, and I was like, how is that even possible? Like we need
We
less
should have
tanks
2
now.
extra.
Yeah.
if
So it
it
was stuff like
makes-
that.
If it makes you feel better, Bingo, I feel very uncomfortable on that fight too, because I'm a no-brain DPS. Point me at the target. Let me at him. I'm going to take him out. I'm going to try to parse. And I got that down pretty good now, but tanking, I'm real uncomfortable with. So I'm just like, am I doing this right? Oh crap, I just let all 5 Sunders drop off. Dang it, that's my job now. It's just so many
Yeah,
different
I mean,
things you don't think
That's
about.
kind of why I love patchwork, because I just have to heal Yip. That's all I do. I just
Right.
click it, heal. Don't got to worry about anything.
Patchwork is fun because that's everybody's job. Everyone's job is so simple yet so terrifying. Maybe
Right.
not DPS. Maybe Bob has some problems because he's usually up there on threat. He's going to be the first one to get obliterated by a hateful strike. But
It's so scary, dude. Me and Stormcast are just right there. Like, and we're like, oh, Skeet, come on. No, oh, we're right there. We're right there. And it's just, you're just praying the entire time.
yeah, for me it's easy. I actually started doing this thing, which is like I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I just click my buttons now on Patchwork because I don't want to misclick anything. And I want to make sure I hit like my shield block on cooldown, and like that's really the most important thing. I'm hitting shield block on cooldown, and I don't want to like misclick my last stand or anything. So I'm just like, I have no other job. I basically have infinite threat right now. I'm just gonna bloodthirst, but I'm gonna shield block every time, and I don't want to misclick. And it was a big problem for me when I was playing more retail, which unfortunately has kind of died out for me. But when I was playing more retail, I was also tanking, but with a different set of keybinds. So like my taunt was on different buttons and stuff like that. So like
that's the
I was
worst.
having some real problems switching back and forth.
When I made a healing druid ult, I literally had to make my bindings very similar. So it was like healing touch was greater heal on my priest, and like regrowth was something else. But like it had to be so similar because switching back and forth, I would just get like.
See, I always have my oh shit buttons always bound to the same spots. My main attacks always like bound to the same spots. But yeah, I was doing the same thing on 4 horse. I was just, the thing I was trying to do the most was keep like shield block up so that I could revenge as much as possible, then bloodthirst on cooldown, and then throw in heroic strikes on top of it, and then also remember to re-up the Sunder armor, and all the time trying to stay alive and get out when I needed to get out. But one thing that I have noticed, at least in the few fights we've done on four horsemen, the taunt thing hasn't really been a problem for me. My taunt seems to just take over every time. I don't know if I've got lucky.
Random variance.
Yeah, maybe
it's
I'm
all
just
going to come
lucky.
down to variance. Like it should, in most scenarios, any given taunt is going to work typically, because even worst case scenario, it's like what 14% chance to miss. So it's like, it shouldn't miss, but it could. We had that situation where exec in the first night of attempts that he got a double resist on it. So it is like it's possible, it can happen, but it's just bad luck based.
Yeah, it only happened to me once that I had to use what's it called, the AOE one, and then I was able to taunt before, like whoever I was relieving ran off, and I was like, oh god, and I'm just doing moves and like just waiting for taunt to come back up, just like spamming it, and then it did. So I was good there. But yeah, it was actually pretty exciting.
It's super intense, and just to clear up a situation here. The reason my taunts are different, just so we know, is in classic, taunt is like used all the time. Like I'm taunting almost every pull. There's something that I'm taunting, but in retail, threat is like so easy. It's not. It's almost a non-factor, and taunt is just not even. It's way more like a very ridiculous situation where you might need to taunt, as opposed to
So
in
you don't
classic,
want it
it's
on
like,
one of your like main buttons that you use all the
exactly.
time.
And there's so many other buttons in retail that I just was like, I can't have this be like my button, my 3 button, which I think it is what it is in classic, because I'm just using it all the time.
Dude,
I
mine's
just
on
couldn't put it there.
my mouse. It's like the button I would normally use for punch in a first-person shooter.
I
Okay,
use my
so
kicks on my mouse.
renew is on my mouse.
Okay, my kick is on the mouse too, but it's the other mouse button, and it's the kick for whatever stance I'm in. So it's either what's it called, pummel and fury, and then
Pummel or
shield
shield
block,
bash.
shield bash. But it just changes when I change stances.
Makes
Okay,
sense.
so I have renew on my mouse in one of our
I do
Lothep
too.
attempts, like really early on. Okay. I went to go to the spore, and the spore was getting like really far because our priest group didn't realize we had to like actually kill it or something. And so the spore is getting really far, so I'm like freaking out. So I like pushed something on my mouse to like melee the spore, and I accidentally hit renew, and I was like,
Oh
nope.
no.
I was like, oh man. And we've got this weak aura that shows everybody that I used my heal, and I'm like, oh, I'm so screwed.
Those spores, the first couple times we did it, I was so out of the loop. I'm like, do we have to kill these? The healer's just standing around, like what
So
was going on?
confused.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
it was almost hilarious seeing all like 5 healers run to a spore and then just
And just
like
stand there.
stand on it, and
Hoping
we're
somebody
like,
kills it.
kill it. You gotta kill it. But I keep getting messages every
Oh.
week that healers don't need the spores, but I think as long as we're killing Lotheb, it's kind of hard for me to argue that we need to change up anything much more. It's like obviously beneficial for our priests to have it, at least, or a few of the priests to have it.
Oh
Well,
to get
yeah.
their
I
I mean,
think-
like
up more often.
I crit on my greater heal. Like corpse, I think was really low, and it was my turn to heal, and I crit on my greater heal, and I healed him for like 6K.
Yeah, it's like totally nuts having that.
That weak aura is amazing. I love that.
Oh yeah.
add-on.
I think I did make my case to get in an earlier group, though. I think I have made that case over the last 2 Lotheb kills being the number 1
Have
Yeah,
you?
be in an
DPS.
earlier group, Bob. All right. I listen. There's so many factors, and people miss. Different people are missing every time. It is such a hassle to deal with these macros that I don't even
To be
bother changing it.
fair, if you're in a lower group and you're still high on DPS, then maybe it isn't important for you to be in the higher group.
But
No, I
imagine
think
how
that's
I
even
could
more
parse.
justification.
Yeah, imagine how much, like I could probably get 0.1 or 0.2k more DPS on the boss because being in an earlier group would allow me to for sure get my like 2-3 minute cooldowns in. You know what I mean?
Okay. Fair. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you also just have that crit for 12 to 24 or 36 seconds longer than you would have.
Yeah,
So it definitely helps
which
for
is
sure.
definitely huge. Whoa, what just happened?
Yeah. But we're optimizing.
Sorry.
we'll optimize Lotheb more, and it'll just get easier and easier. We're in a pretty decent spot right now. We still have a couple people dying, but I think it's like just silly mistakes that they're making overall, or trying to save money by not using shadow protection potions. But
Well,
3 shadow protection potions is not like the worst thing in the world.
to be fair, I mean, I've basically cheated every like the last 2 weeks on our progression night. I've been personally buying a flask and popping it, so I have 1200 more health than other DPS, and it really saves me. I mean, I don't even really truly have to bandage if I don't want to. I still do just because I want to be safe, but I don't really even have to with that much health.
Yeah, I ended. Obviously, I'm in mainly my tank set when we go in. But I also have a flask on. I have a Zanza on, which is 50 stam, and I have Dire Maul buffs, which is like what 20% more stamina also. So I have a lot of health going in.
Yeah, I think it's
15% more stamina. And I think I ended with like 8k health last time. I was like, wow, I really like was far ahead here. But we also killed it reasonably fast. The problem is, okay, so yeah, I definitely ended at 8k health. The problem is we killed Lotheb, and then another impending doom came out anyway. I don't think anyone was expecting that.
Yeah, I died
Oh,
from that.
wow.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah, I got
I didn't
killed
even
after
notice
That
that.
happened to me the week before, I think.
Yeah, so impending doom started casting, Lotheb died, and everyone like chilled out, and then it launched, and everyone got hit. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was intense, and it gets pretty tricky at the end for healers because we're all sort of out of order. So as soon as our heals are up, we just got to spam it.
Yeah.
Kind of how it gets tricky for the tanks. Like once one tank dies or something on 4 horsemen, you're just like,
Yeah, it's a big problem if that happens. So we kill 4 horsemen. Moving on, we end up on Saffron, which is the last 2. That's a really awesome place to be. That's sort of like its own separate wing itself, having Saffron and Kel'Thuzad. So it didn't go very well at all, I would say. I would say it didn't go well. But I think we're going to be in a much better place going forward. We had some people who didn't have Frost Res. We had some people who might have been a little light on Frost Res. I think our healers, we need to figure out exactly what we want to do with them, whether it's wearing some Frost Res or whether it's wearing none. We just need to be in a better place as far as what we're doing there. And then I think the biggest issue that I think that we ended up having is after Saffron flies up, we wanted everyone to run to one side of the room so that we could spread out for the ice bolts and then hide behind them. But what I'm seeing in a lot of logs, which I think makes a lot more sense, is everyone just kind of spreads out where they are. So we're normally just on the left and right side of Saffron, so we're not getting cleaved or tail swiped. And then you have the healers just stay in place, and then everyone else just sort of moves around them and spreads out there. Because the problem we're having is the Frost Aura doesn't stop when Saffron flies up. And then everyone, including healers, were moving and not healing for that period of time where we're all getting into place. And everyone's like almost dead by the time we're not like done moving. So I think it was just too much movement for that section. I'm seeing a ton of people just stay in place and then just spread on the sides. And then you just close back in once Saffron flies back down. It's way simpler, way less movement. And I think that's what we'll end up doing. And that way, if we have like a case where a healer doesn't move at the same rate as their group, like if random hypothetical, this would probably never happen, but let's say Bingo doesn't move to the right place or something, his heals just won't go off. Like his prayer of healing won't hit his group, which is a big problem. So like it's better, I think, if the healers stay still or roughly still, and everyone just sort of spreads out around them. I think that's the way we should try it next time.
Bingo,
we could
do you
also,
have
10 videos.
we could
hold
also,
on, I have a question.
Okay.
Bingo, do you what like healer add-on do you use, or do you use one?
Gosh, what's it called? Do you so
Is it
Yip
Grid?
basically
I think he uses
Yeah, he
installed
just has
everything.
his grid and he has click. So he has grid
Okay.
for raid frames and then click for like the click to cast stuff.
Can you set, like, I have on mine, I have Healbot, but I have like range. So if people are out of my range, I can see it. Like they're dimmed.
Yeah.
Do you have
you
that?
can see that on mine, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the problem is though, like if everyone starts running ahead of him or something, he won't be
Right.
able to like heal during that catch up period. And it's ticking pretty hard. Like the aura ticks pretty hard.
Yeah, I
So,
was
I
dying really quickly.
we could think about possibly just, our healers putting the group healer like an icon on them so that group 3 knows to try and stick as close as possible to Diamond, something like that.
I just don't think there's any reason to move to a one side of the room or not. Like there's just absolutely no benefit to it. Other than like I don't think there's a benefit to move a lot on that fight.
True. I mean, I guess when we
yeah.
did it in Wrath, we always did it from the right side of the room when you're looking at them. We were all DPSing on the right leg.
Yeah, 5 go out. So 5 like ice bolts go out, which is plenty. There's going to be one on either side almost for sure. And then you just everyone can hide behind. Everyone can stack after those come out. So you don't really need to all be in the same place. As long as you know that everyone's going to stay in that place, it's going to be fine either way. So I think it's like little stuff like that. And then having enough consumes. We had probably 10-ish people by the end who were just not frost protection potioning, which is fine because maybe they didn't expect us to need as many as we did. I ran out by the end as well too. I think I brought like 15 but we were like, I was totally out by the end. People were asking to borrow some, and I just didn't have any left.
Well, to be fair, though, the officers kind of need to get on the same page. I don't dig a lot, but the officers need to get on the same page about when we are going to consume and when we aren't, because I was told to not consume, and so I'm only taking a frost res potion because I feel like that's necessary. But maybe some other people didn't even realize that no consume meant you still need the frost, res potion.
Well, no, we decided to consume. So for the first poll,
did later.
There was some confusion. No, it was at the first poll we decided to consume, but there was like at first we did call for dry runs to say like let's just test it out. So yeah, having having two GMs, it kind of happens frequently where they'll just say different things, and it's just a little confusing sometimes. And I think communication is really important in a raid of 40 people. So being on the same page there too. So like I wasn't upset. I think by the end of the night, everyone was maybe a little grouchier than they needed to be. Getting 4 horsemen down was an awesome achievement. Just one-shotting them down.
Well, and that also
I feel like the 4 horsemen the week before sounds like it was very similar to Saffron was this week. And then you guys one-shot 4 horsemen this week, right? I think our guild is just the type of guild that needs to go through it, needs to experience it, needs to figure it out, needs to bitch about this stupid stuff that people aren't doing. And then next week, I think it'll be a lot easier. We might not get Saf down next week like we did 4 horsemen, but we might. But I think it'll go a lot smoother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
something else to like kind of put on top of this is, I know I fell victim to this, is after we killed 4 horsemen, I was on like a high, like just a natural endorphin high, and I probably was missing half the shit the officers were trying to say in Discord, and I'm sure other people were like that too, just like, oh, we did it, oh shit, I gotta get my frost res stuff together. I luckily made my set before, so I was able to use item rack, but I wonder if other people were just like clicking the pieces on and be like, oh, do I have the pants too, and they're clicking that on and they're not listening, and I think that could be a big problem for us that night. But yeah, it went similar to how 4 horsemen was, let's be honest, a shit show last week, and then we one-shot it this week. So I think Belle's right. I think our guild, me included, just need to see the fight first. Watching videos, like strategy ones, doesn't help me. Watching point of view videos, I did that after this last week for 4 horse. And that helped me so much more than watching one with a bunch of icons moving all over. Maybe that's just me. People learn different ways.
That's what I was looking at for Saffron. The problem is like, I was people were saying that they were taking a lot of frost aura damage, right? But then it's like I link a video of a priest point of view, and it's like, well, this person is just like casually greater healing people the entire time. So we have to put ourselves in that position where that's what people have to do. That means we're popping frost potions, people are wearing their full frost resist gear, and then like whether we need healers or not, wearing it, whether we need to bring in another healer, try to recruit somebody, and we do that. But like it's just like every little thing together is going to make a big difference next week.
Right.
If we don't move as much, it's going to make a huge difference on the healing that can be done. If everyone's popping potions, it's going to make a big difference. If everyone has their gear, it's going to make a big so all that will add together. I mean, we got a 75%. It goes horribly the whole time. It's basically us slowly dying, and then we lose after like the second fly up. But I think if everything's tighter, we just go further. And then if we have world buffs and we're full consumed, we can do a little bit more DPS and we can last a little bit longer, and we'll be able to get it down. It's just making sure everyone is prepared. It's just like Visitus again all over. We just need everyone on the same page, prepared, and we'll be good. So I wasn't expecting anything. A couple people were upset that people didn't have their full frost res gear, but I absolutely expected that. I just didn't want to be in a position where half the raid didn't have it, but it is more like a handful of people. But you sort of just expect that. There's 40 people. Not everyone's going to do the thing they need to do.
Well, and you guys need to see the fight once. I need to see it probably 47 times. So I'll get it in the next couple months.
You'll get there, Bingo.
Well, and to be fair, Saffron has not been easy for so many guilds. On the Con Before the Storm panel, we talked for a bunch prior and after the actual stream, and Melderon and Def Camp's guild have yet to drop Saffron without the majority of their raid in full world buffs. They actually will go and re world buff mid raid because it's the only way they can take him. And KT hasn't been as hard as Saffron for them and for a lot of guilds. And so Saffron seems to be the gate. And even Dally told us in Onslaught, they've just recently, with all their KT and Saf gear, started to be able to kill Saffron without world buffs. So hopefully, being better at Lotheb and at Four Horse, we can maybe keep more of those buffs moving to Saffron.
Yeah, I think we also are going to plan for like using our guild's heads and using our guild's hearts that we have left over to rebuff. I think that isn't an unreasonable thing to need to do. A lot of people are doing it. We're not like some sort of amazing exception where we're just going to kill Saffron without any world buffs like every time. Like I just don't think that's super reasonable for us to go in there and think we're going to do. So as long as we're fully prepared, then we're going to be okay.
You're amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of a bummer about this, and I really kind of wish that like world buffs would just be available on demand now for, everybody's talking about gold sinks, like add a gold sink to it so that we can just sink the gold and get our buffs so that we can complete this content, because it was obviously built for people with world buffs or built for people that were going to spend months before killing Saffron and getting all the gear from Naxx. And with the majority of the big DPS guys being warriors, we don't really get a lot of drops in Naxx. And so without the world buffs, we're kind of like a budget rogue, that has full tier 3. But yeah.
I mean, we're waiting on weapon drops and stuff like that, but that's not going to be able to make the big difference until everything's on farm. And we're talking like 2 months down the line when we have everything on farm. The gear upgrades we're going to get are not going to be what pushes us over to kill KT. To get past Saffron and kill KT at least. Yeah.
But it's all in all, it's been a really fun experience. It's been challenging. It's felt good, and I'm excited for next week and to keep going. And I really, really want to kill KT with this guild, because there's not a lot of guilds that can say, they went from day 1 to day end with the same guild. And I really hope we can do that as a team and a family. So I'm excited. But let's move on to, so BingoJones is here with us. And
hey,
we've told a lot of stories about BingoJones, and it's been amazing because he just gives us content. But it was hilarious because we had a guy join our guild who was previously a listener before, Wiccan, and he's honestly
still a listener.
Yeah, probably.
No, he hates us now. He doesn't listen anymore at all.
No, he's like, forget that. I joined their guild, and
Well, and it turns out that Wiccan thought that Bingo was a fictional character we just used to tell funny stories about. And then when he met him, go ahead and tell us the story here.
So he messaged me first. I didn't know he was in the guild. So I thought it was just a new player. You needed a druid. He hits me up. He's like, "Yo, are you the real Bingo? Oh, I know you're real. Every time you're on the podcast, it sounds like a sitcom or a TV show." I'm like, that's me. That is me.
I don't think we exaggerate either. I think we're
it's literally been real stories that have happened, and it's just like he gives us great content. But it's actually been, that's what I kind of wanted to catch up with him, because it's been kind of dying down. I mean, Bingo's one of our biggest people that let people know when world buffs are dropping now. Like, he's always coming world buffed. He's always on time. He's not dying to Frogger. He's you're becoming like a real boy,
He does really stress out in Healer chat before Frogger, though. Still, don't worry.
So this is harder than patchwork times 20. Yeah, it's
He's
been
like,
a wild 6
he's like, I'm
months.
sweating, guys. And we're
Yeah, I
like,
know. It's like, I can't
Patrick's
do
coming
this.
up, and he's like, no, Frogger. Oh,
Kim did die though the other day, so
he did.
that
Him
was
dies
fun.
almost every time.
Yeah, he's like, oh man.
I don't understand. It's got to be a healer thing. Like you guys are all just like
I
you're
have
basically just
never
making fun of
died.
everyone else in healer chat, not paying attention or something. I don't know
That's
what you guys
probably
are
true.
doing.
We're
Yeah,
typing to
probably.
bingo and healer chat and dying to Frogger. We're like, damn it.
Yeah. It's been
I
a
mean-
wild 6 months though. It's been a great learning experience, and I've been excited to raid with you guys every week. So yeah, it's been good.
How's Naxx been? Has it been fun for you?
Yeah, so I joined right when AQ was coming out. So I sort of power leveled up to 60 in like 8 or 9 days. Like,
Yeah, something
straight
like
through,
that.
and then raided with you guys.
And you and Elizabeth came in like right at the same time, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I
when
think
was
Bingo
60
rated 2 weeks prior to Elizabeth showing up for the first time.
I saw Beth sort of, leveling up when I joined, but yeah, it's been wild. I'm so glad I had AQ before Naxx. I would have been so bad if I just joined Naxx.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and you got to do BWL and MC because we had those on
Yes,
farm when we were doing
yeah.
AQ. So
Oh yeah,
you
you're
got
right. My first
a lot
raid
of
was
catch up
58
here.
MC. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Naxx is a lot harder.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's so hard.
I mean,
It's
than any
ridiculous.
other raid. I mean, the only
It's
thing
so
you could say about
stressful.
AQ is that the trash from Twin Emps to Cthulhu are just complete BS, and that's about the hardest part. That and have to cheese Viscidus, but it's not really hard once you have the right amount of people with sappers, yada yada yada. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, trash is like unfairly difficult when we're willing to spend the time to just like fish for instance IDs that have smaller amounts of mind slayers. Like we're literally just trying to find better mobs to fight. Like that's how bad it is. That was truly a nightmare. I'm glad to not be in AQ anymore, even if we should probably be doing some.
We only tried that portal thing once, right? Remember when you were porting people in?
Oh, like summoning people?
Yeah, summoning people.
We summoned people for like the last like week or two
Okay.
just to make it, because I think we wanted to just get through
Because
everything
nobody
so
wanted to do
quickly.
it.
Now, to clarify,
Yeah.
we never did the bannable offense of skipping trash and summoning past to Yoro? Why am I missing his name? Oro's room. We never did that, cheese, so nobody get mad about that.
Yeah, we were just summoning people in. We were having issues with people like not running in on time, and we wanted to reward people who were getting fully world buffed at least, because we wanted them to be able to bring their buffs in and last as long as possible. Because they're the people who do everything are the ones who really carry the raid and help make sure everything gets done in a timely manner. So it really matters a lot that we reward those people however we can. So maybe eventually we'll find a Naxx spot. I mean, I know there are Naxx spots underneath and on top, but maybe we'll get some summoners out there eventually and do the same thing there. But we haven't had many problems the way we're doing things now, where everyone flies out, but we do lose like 10 minutes on all of our buffs probably doing it that way. But we're the kind of guild that loses buffs before then anyway.
Yeah,
I did have a bingo moment though. The other day I joined AQ20, a pickup group. And I heard, Bingo, what are you doing? I'm like, I was the only priest. I was like, you got to help me out, guys. I haven't done AQ20 in like 7 years. Like, what are you doing, Bingo? Stop. And it was just strangers. It wasn't the guild. So
Oh,
it
God.
made it kind of worse.
That's how you really, that's like the real way
What were
you
you doing, Bingo?
It was one of the fights where I was in the water and I got aggro and they're like, run to the egg. I don't know where that is. Like, do you know that AQ20?
Oh, I know
I
which
did
one you're
AQ20
talking
like
about. Yeah.
5
it's
times.
like halfway
Yeah, the
through-
one
yeah,
where you
halfway
have to,
through.
you're like jump down the cliff.
Yeah, jump down the cliff.
Yeah,
There's the egg.
yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
Bingo, what are you doing? Run to the egg. I was
Yeah,
like,
he
what?
targets you and you have to.
Yeah, no, I
run
didn't
to
know
the
that
egg.
either when I did it.
It was-
But
it
I
was
did
tough.
it with friends, so they were much
Yeah, the
nicer
problem with
about it,
mechanics
I'm
like
sure.
that, the problem with mechanics like that is that it doesn't affect you every time. So you can do AQ like 10 times and then never have to deal with that. We've had this problem with Huygen. IDDQD, one of our GMs, has just never gone in. As much as he wants to help everybody, he's never had to teleport into the gauntlet where he has to do it. So he's like, I don't know how to fix the problem. We keep having people die in there. He's like, I don't even know how to fix it. I've never been in there.
Dude, I got ported in, not this week, but the previous week, and I was like, I had 2 mages, and I was like, sweet! I'm gonna actually get through the gauntlet. No, like instantly one goes down, and I was like, oh man, okay. and I'm following Lionel, and I'm like, "Come on, Lionel, we got this!" And then he like misses one of the I don't know, stock things.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
eye
the
And
tentacles,
stalks.
it's
eye
just
stuff.
like beaming him, and I'm like, no. And I have nothing I can shoot at this thing, right? Like I have no instant cast, and there's all these slugs behind me that are gonna murder me. Yeah, we all died.
I
It's fine.
finally made it through alive on one of them, and I just went slow and killed every stock.
Yep.
I feel like they
You
like.
can't go that slow though.
Well,
'cause
I
You
those
feel
can.
little
like
So
yeah, you
slugs-
it's a
can.
myth. It's
I
a
went
lie.
slow.
We've
those
been
little
being
slugs
lied
will
to.
kill me.
The slugs
they are-
didn't
they are
mess with
so
me at
slow.
all. Yeah, I literally killed each
No.
one of them and just slowly moved through. And then the times I
I
died
died to the
before,
slugs
I
every
had
time.
tried.
That's what I died to.
Okay, well, let me finish. I had tried to walk through, and it feels like the eye stalks are like building up, like they're, and then they hit you with something, boom. Because like I had full health one time when I just raced through and didn't attack anything, and then right before I got into the room, boom, I got
Yeah, that
killed.
happened to me
yeah,
as well
'cause
too.
if they target you, you can't not kill them.
Well,
Yeah,
they had me
you can't
targeted. It
run
just
out.
didn't do any damage until a certain
Correct,
amount of
but
Until you
time
run.
went.
you can't get out if they're targeting you.
So-
They'll insta kill you. I'm
So
pretty
here's
sure.
the thing. I have now done this successfully multiple times.
Mm.
The slugs move at like 50% movement speed. So you can
Right.
literally kite them in a circle if you need to. And that's all you have to do. They only aggro like one person. They have a really tiny aggro radius. So all you have to do is the melee or whoever, they can run up to the stocks and you can literally just juke the maggots back and forth. Like you can really just juke them. You can run in between them. You can practically jump over them and they won't one-shot you. They're very, very slow. It's very easy to not get hit by them if you move a little bit. I'm confident that people can cast non-instant casts in there and not die. If you have a maggot on you, run forward a little bit and then do it. But like you can't just like stand still when one's about to hit you. But like melee should be killing all of the eye stocks. Ranged can definitely just slow down. You know, you blink away, then you cast a fireball or something. Like I think people are just overcomplicating it and trying to run out as quickly as possible. But you can go really, really slow and be fine. I think that really is all we have to do. Everyone just, but the problem is you have the ranged or the melee try to run out as quickly as possible, and they just leave the healers to die.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. That's the
It's
thing,
always
too.
every healer that goes in there dies because all the DPS are just like very just thinking about themselves. I think in there, I'm not sure.
Our Hunter Buttercakes really helped me out. He crushed it in there with me. Great.
Yeah, Hunter's probably the best thing to be in there with. I'm sure.
Nothing was worse than when we had 3 priests teleported, and we're like, really? But okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
great.
that's insane. Like I think though you can still kite the maggots around, have one person run up and aggro them, and then you can start smiting the tentacles. Because you won't take any damage from anything except the tentacles. Like you won't take damage from the maggots if they're not hitting you. So you just have one person kite them around slowly. You can just move them back and forth and then kill the tentacles as you go. I think is what you're supposed to do. I don't know why I haven't watched like multiple POVs of this yet when we have so many people dying in there.
Yeah, I actually haven't
'Cause we're-
either. It's the
Because
one
we're
thing I probably
killing
should.
him.
Yeah,
We're
we
killing
kill him
him,
anyway.
So it's like not as big of an issue. If we weren't killing him, I guarantee everybody would have watched like 82,000 YouTube videos by now
Yeah.
of how to get this done. But no, now we just accept like, oh, they got ported. They're probably dead.
Yeah, we're gonna
That's
have like
fine.
6 deaths no matter what, but he still goes down in like a minute and a half. Like, who cares? Like,
All right, well,
they're necessary
bringing
sacrifices.
bringing it back to bingo. What are some of the things you've learned since the last time you were on the podcast? Like, what are some of the tricks of the trade? Like, do you have any examples?
Got to get those world buffs. You know,
I
gotta
mean,
get
those
'em.
help a ton.
Yeah. Honestly, I've been playing the exact same way. I think I've just gotten it a little bit better, like all around. What else did I learn? Keeping up with the group.
Movement's
know,
probably the biggest
Yeah, are
thing.
you still
'cause,
keyboard
like,
turning?
Yeah.
there's no way he's
Wait,
not
what?
keyboard
Yeah.
turning.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think he even
For
understands.
real?
I gotta
don't
be
know,
honest.
What else is there?
So
to
this is
do?
my fault. Like, this is almost definitely my fault. Like, I don't think he understands what we even mean when we say keyboard
Yeah, I don't
turning.
even know what you
So
mean
like,
by that.
you know, A and D, the buttons
Yeah,
A and D,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you use them to turn.
Uh-huh.
I don't have those bound.
You use A and D.
Oh.
Yeah,
Why don't
I
you
have
use your
A.
mouse?
Okay, so
Don't
I
text
have
while you're swimming, guys, either.
I have A and D changed to strafe left and
Strafe.
strafe
Yeah,
right, so
and
that
then
I can
Q and
use
E
Q
as
and E as other binds.
because if you hold down both mouse buttons
Mhm.
and you turn your character when you move your mouse.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's a
Or you
more
can
efficient
hold
way to
down.
turn.
Yeah, you can hold down W and just hold down the right click of your mouse.
Yeah,
and
or
then
hold
turn
down
with that.
W and hold down the right as well too. Yeah, so there's really
Gosh.
no real reason to use A and D other than it's like a comfy way to
You
turn.
really
Yeah.
wait, you really don't do that with your mouse?
Well, I occasionally use the mouse sometimes, but I usually do the A and D. You know.
Well, that
Wait,
explains
like
Frogger right
you
there. You're playing hard
occasionally use
mode.
the
Yeah,
mouse?
that's 100%
I'm
why
so
Frogger's a
confused.
little harder for him than
That's why I'm looking at Frogger, being like, "All right, let's
I
just
got this.
get I got this."
Okay, well,
yeah,
Oh my
Brooks,
so one
I
of
God.
think you
the
should change that.
yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
one of the best things you can do for yourself, and like, I hated doing this changeover because I love like when I'm mounting up, I just want to like hit A or D and just spin around the whole time while I'm doing it. I think that's like a fun way to cast anything. But changing A and D to strafe, like Bob said, and then just having no way to turn, you also are gaining Q and E as really awesome spots for like
Yeah.
other keybinds
Mhm.
for stuff. Q and E are super comfy to like go touch. Another thing
They're
too,
also
which I
really
think
easy to fat finger.
Super
So
easy to
don't
fat
Yeah.
finger.
so
they're
don't put
super
like
easy.
your like high cooldown
I
items
have
on the
my
Q&E.
3-minute buff on E. Don't at me. I rarely fat finger it though. Sometimes on trash I do.
I'm just not used to like all these new mechanics in Naxx. Like I'm used to just healing. Like that's what
Yeah.
and bringing all this new
To
stuff
be
in.
fair, the keyboard turning probably wasn't even an issue before Naxx because for most of the fights he was stood in a spot and healed.
Yeah.
And yeah, you might have to heal different people and all of that, but like you're basically standing somewhere and then looking at your raid frames to heal.
Yeah.
Bingo learns through he learns through overcoming difficulties. So
With death.
well, yeah, like if something goes wrong, you can fix the
That-
problem, but like
Yeah.
optimizing further is probably the next step for
Yeah.
Bingo. He's getting the world buffs, now he just has to optimize movement. I think that's the biggest difference between playing like any MMO is how you move, how you have to cast your spells in between moving and things like that, like the minutia. But wait, go look at Vargflocken logs. Bingo, he's been doing pretty good.
Well, and it
He's
does
Yeah.
get easier.
Oh, yeah.
It does definitely get easier to move once you drop down to 25 frames and 10 frames in TBC rather than 40 frames. I mean, 40 frames takes up a lot of space on your screen. And I remember healing in Cataclysm in 10-man raids, and movement was easy as pie because there was just, 10 frames. I can still have them a good size, so it does get easier with the 40-man raids. It is definitely hard to position and then just to be able to see with the way you have your add-ons set up and your frames set up. I mean, if you use default frames, it's like taking up more than half your screen.
It's so strange. Like I'm always used to, when I used to play EverQuest, we used to do like 70-man raids, and I always think 40 is not enough. But don't you want smaller raids? Or is that
Yeah,
what you
smaller
want?
raids are better. They're easier to control and manage. Like the problem is with a 40-person raid, you have like accountability down. You have less control over what people are doing. If people need frost resist gear, you got to coordinate that with 40 people.
that is tough.
You need 40 people to show up on a Tuesday. Like it's a little easier to
Right.
find like 25 or 15 or 10 unemployed people. Then you can really put all that together. But with 40 people, someone's got, I got work the next morning, I'm gonna leave early. Like you have a much harder time keeping it together. And if you lose, like we've been down to a main roster of 30 people during BWL, and that gets like really sketchy. Like finding 10 new people is like that's a whole thing you have to
Oh,
do.
yeah.
So yeah, that's like
I've
the
just
biggest problem.
conceded to being really tired on Wednesdays and Fridays at work.
Yeah. I mean, we're East Coast, so we definitely feel that. We're like falling asleep by the end of the
Oh my
night.
gosh,
Everyone's like, sometimes someone will comment, I sound tired or something. It's like, we start at 11. I am tired.
Yeah, dude, it's
I'm
been
exhausted
actually
when we
worse.
start.
We start at 10 here, and I'm like, and they're like, come on, guys, we just need to push and come for, just push through for another like hour or so. And I'm like, it is like 1 a.m. already. and I have to work at 8 a.m. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gotten worse for us since we moved back to Kansas City from Colorado because
right.
now I really feel like I'm running out of gas that last hour of raid, and I had gas before. Like I never do anything after raid now, and I used to like be like, "Hey, let's go do something after raid." Now I'm like, "No, I'm going to bed."
we
Yeah,
used
that
to. We also
hour
raid
is
late.
tough.
We raid late just for our server as well too. It's hard to find people even in the correct time zone who want to start raid at 8 p.m. Normally
Yeah.
like 7 p.m. is
Right.
usually like the latest raid. I see a lot of 6 p.m. raids starting. So like people like even the West Coast people are getting sleepy by the end of raid. I mean, obviously it doesn't hold up to how sleepy I am. I'm the sleepiest in the whole guild, but it is a problem raiding that late and then finding people at those times as well
It's
too.
harder to
shocked I haven't
recruit, I
fallen
would
asleep.
think.
We've had
my
people, we've had
keyboard.
Zilzag fall asleep. I don't want to put Zilzag on blast, but anyone there, I'm sure, remembers on an MC him just auto running through mobs and into lava, and they're all
Yep,
just like,
I
"What
remember.
happened?"
What happened?
Oh
Oh,
man. Well, is
That's what it
there?
takes to be a real hardcore PvPer, though. Zolzag is on that PvP
Yes.
grind, so his hours are insane sometimes.
All right. Well, Bingo. Before we move on to the next thing, is there anything else you want to say that you've been thinking about or just changed? I
I'm
mean,
just
because you
I
are
feel like
like
I'm
on top
excited.
of it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm excited for TBC. When I first started, first 3 months it was like a homework project or something. Like I was nervous,
Mhm.
during every fight. I didn't want to, say anything. A lot of bingos. What are you doing? Yips yelling at me. Now it's a little bit easier. I learned, watching POV actually works really well. Just learning the fights, and I'm excited because I think TBC is sort of is that classic for a lot of people. A lot of people
Yeah.
didn't really even start playing
I
until
mean,
TBC.
yeah. I mean, like basically, vanilla TBC and Wrath is basically classic for a lot of people
Okay.
because just if you look at the chart of the most popular like World of Warcraft has ever been, it peaks at
In
Wrath.
Wrath.
And so there were a
Okay, got it.
lot of people that were TBC babies or Wrath babies, and that's when they first started. There's a ton. So
Yeah, and
The-
even people who love Classic and played it like I did, I think I started when I was like 12. And
Yeah.
it's just like Classic is cool, and I'm glad I'm going back and doing it. But TBC is where like it's gonna feel like that's where like the real nostalgia driven
Right.
like enjoyment will come from, because it's something that I actually spent a lot of time on that I could actually optimize in. I actually wasn't just like a total noob who didn't know agility made me do more damage as a hunter. Like all these things happen in Classic. They were remedied by TBC. So I think TBC will be pretty exciting, and I bet it's going to draw in a lot of new players as well too.
yeah, I
Bingo,
think
what
that's
was
true.
it that you said? You said in Healer Chat one time about something you were like, I know I'm a noob because I didn't know I could do this in my bags or something. Do you
Yeah,
remember?
no, there's a button. There's a button that I just found out like 3 weeks ago that you can click and it rearranges everything in your bags.
Yeah,
Yeah, but what was funny
I'm
is
like,
like
what
that's
is
an
that?
it's
add-on.
an add-on.
So it's not even a thing that
A thing
people
that
can do.
Can do.
Yeah,
If you don't have this, you gotta get it.
it's true.
It's life changing. It's like the best thing of all time.
It was hilarious though. He said that and everybody in Healer Chat was like, well, that's not like a general thing. Like, yeah, you have an add-on that does that.
And even funnier, and I haven't confirmed that this is the case, but I have a good idea. Bingo is just like, he absolutely cannot bid on gear. Like,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable how
I-
horrible he is at bidding on gear.
First of all, it's only 10 seconds. How do you guys do this so quickly? I'm
Because
Because
you
looking
you
at
see
the
max
the
thing.
drop
everything,
for a
don't you?
minute before they go up.
No, I don't. I don't see
No, you
any
can.
of
You just
Oh,
loot
you-
the boss.
you loot the
and then you can
boss and you
see
can
what
see?
items.
Okay.
But here's more importantly, something got rebid like multiple times, and he still didn't bid on it. And I was like, bro, like bid on that item. And he says, "Oh, I was having a hard time finding Stormcast," and
Yeah,
I was like, "Type /W Stormcast."
I still
Oh
click on
my
people. Like I
gosh.
barely even know how to whisper people. It's
Yeah,
like,
like
I
I
leveled up
feel
so
like I
fast.
don't either though.
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like
tough.
I'm like, is it /W or /T or /
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I mean,
It's
the
little
easiest
things
thing
like
is
that.
just look at your raid frames. Click on Stormcast. He's one of the
Yeah.
he's one of the brown guys.
I think that's what he meant, though. It's probably just not
right-click him.
immediately obvious.
It's not immediate because a lot of times the groups switch around, so I'm like trying to find him to whisper him. It's a whole
because his focus will be on tanks, so it is a little bit different for the healing raid frames. But at the same time,
No, not in the
Last
raid
W
frames.
Stormcast.
Just do it in the chat. Like in the
Yeah.
chat box, like when he says bid on this, I just click his name in the
Oh,
chat
yeah,
box
true.
and it
Yeah.
comes over here.
when
yeah,
someone
it
types, you can
does.
just click on their
Whispers
name.
it.
Click on the name.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's things like that when like you have a new player, even if he gets good at healing, which he's done, where it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, totally forgot. Like you don't know this thing yet, or like
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
like
Right.
you don't know how to do this part
Assuming
yet.
I know something is a bad way to go. You know?
You just have to click on his name. Like when he types in raid, just click on his name, Bingo, and
I'll
then you
write that
can
down.
bid. Okay? Because
Yeah,
you should bid.
He'll have a sticky note on the side of his monitor so he can.
I've been getting some good drops though.
Yeah,
The
I got
worst-
like
The worst though
9-7.
is when they like when a healer item drops and then they pull and it's like, oh crap. Okay, I'm healing. Do I want that? Do I have
Yeah.
something like that?
Just stuff you
I
do in
think
10
in
seconds.
right. I think in BWL there was one time where I think I had to message and I was like, I'm sorry, I actually already have that item that I bid on, but we were going really fast and I bid on it again.
No, dude,
Disregard.
the worst though was AQ. AQ was the worst with all the weird different names of crap, and then you're like, what do I
Yeah.
need to actually turn in to get that? Like, I don't know, man.
Well, and it's like there are very few pieces in AQ for healers specifically that were beneficial. And me knowing which ones of those were going to be beneficial required a Google search for like 10 minutes. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, never mind. I just won't bid on anything.
Yeah, I just kept my T2 on the entire AQ.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bingo's in a really good DKP spot because he didn't know how to bid for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So
My first bid ever, I was like stressed, obviously. I was hitting Yip up and I bid on like a Pally only item. He's like, dude, why'd you bid on this? Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
he's
I
doing
don't
his best.
know.
That's
I was
okay.
just trying.
Oh man.
I mean, it ends up being a really good DKP strategy, though. Just waiting for everyone else. I mean, that was originally what I told him too. Because as he learned, there's really no point in like snatching super good items from other healers.
Yeah.
Well, it's
and
not
now
like you're low on the healing chart. Like you're doing well healing. So like if you weren't, that's when we'd be like, okay, Bingo, like you got to
Yeah.
get some gear.
Like I got lucky on the BWL ring, was it? The pure elemental.
Yeah, like you got
thing?
that
Like
ring.
that.
The real big item you got was the rejuvenating gem. I
Rejuvenating
think
gem.
because you
Yeah,
were
that's
just
sweet.
grabbing tier 2, you were able to get that rejuvenating gem from.
Yeah.
Took me
I'm sure
so
some-
long to get the rejuve gem.
Yeah, and Bingo gets
Oh.
it like the week after.
I know.
I got all my T2 and that in like a month or something. It was crazy. It was
yeah,
Yeah,
you
Mel doesn't even have her T2 apparently.
Poor Elizabeth was like, I just
Okay.
want like he wanted like the 4-cent bonus or something. He's like, dang it, Bingo bids everything every time.
Sorry, that was my bad.
That was
It was basically because I
miscommunication.
was like, I told him, I was like, your goal is to get 8 of 8, and then every time one dropped, I was like, bid on it.
I didn't even think about 8 of 8, right? So I got the empowered leggings
Yeah.
before the tier 2 leggings, and I was like, well, these are way better.
You
Yep.
you don't have the
And-
tier 2 leggings?
Yep,
I don't
that's
think
the
so.
one
I
piece
think that's
she's
what I don't
missing.
have.
No. Those
Why?
are the Ragnaros drops.
Yeah, I
That
know.
means you have to do Molten Core to get that full tier 2.
Maybe I do. Maybe I
YKP.
do. There might be
Yeah, well-
something else that I don't have. I don't remember.
Yeah, assuming I get this binding eventually, we will have to do one full clear of Molten Core, so
Cross
go
your
out and do
fingers,
that.
right? All right, well, we're going to move into, there's no news this week, so we're going to move into discussion. So first up, something I thought was kind of neat is there's unique strategies to running Naxx. So I'm just going to start at the top of the list. This is a article on Wowhead. You can check it out in the show notes. So the first thing is what's the worst trash in Naxx, guys? I mean, what is the worst trash?
Well, I know the answer I'm supposed to give. Let me think if it's also the same answer. It probably is the same answer. It's the pre-Faralina trash.
Yeah.
I comment on it every time, so it must be the worst.
Yes.
It's just
Wait, what's
a
the
literal
pre-Faralina
drain.
trash?
It's the one where we have the alkalites and we have to make sure that 4 of them get kicked before they do the AoE Shadow Bolt. And there's like 8 packs of them and it takes forever and we basically hate it. We always lose someone in each pull.
Okay, that's not true. You know where we always lose somebody is in the stupid invisible trash after the mind control guy. You know, the ones where you only see the weapons?
Yeah, they're not invisible.
Yeah.
They're just magic weapons.
Whatever. There's invisible people holding them.
Those are okay. So the main reason we lose people there is because I still don't. Luckily, I'm a tank, so like I don't just die immediately on these things. But like I can't tell when those axes are doing their like whirlwind stuff and killing everybody.
A person.
It's like
I can't either. It's horrible.
I'm not sure what it
Insta-death,
looks
right?
like. It's not really insta-death, but it hits really, really hard and very fast. So like I can sit there and be like, oh, I'm at half health and leave. But by the time I'm at half health, we got like 3 melee who are dead in the process. So it's like stuff that doesn't have a really obvious like cast or a super obvious image when it's happening.
Right.
Seem to kill people. Those are annoying, but they're pretty quick.
Yeah,
it takes like
it's
7
pretty
minutes
easy,
to get through that trash.
Yeah, no, I think the Faralina trash is the worst. And so there's a new strategy out where it's much easier for Alliance. Like they'll basically Divine Shield, a Paladin will, Divine Shield, go gather up all the trash together. Then everybody else will use an invisibility pot, get right under the pally, and just everybody uses 40 Goblin Sappers at the same time and trash dead. I mean, it's like one of the fastest things ever.
That would be awesome. I would love it if we could do that. The problem is we don't have 40 engineers, and we'll never have 40 engineers. And I bet you probably need like a lot of engineers to make this
yeah,
reasonable.
I'm guessing like 33
is
is the cutoff. I'm guessing.
Yeah, like something like that. And we won't be able to get to that, but that would save a lot of time. I just hate those packs, and you have to pull them one at a time, and there's just too many of them. And it's just Faralina. Who cares about Faralina?
And then sometimes you get bopped into another pack, and then it's just like, oh gosh, it's just
it's very frustrating trash.
Yeah, and so that is the thing. Now there is like Horde have a much tougher time with it. They have to use what's it called?
Flask of Petrification.
Flask of Petrification. And if you don't know what that is, check out last episode. We got schooled on it. I got schooled on it. So
thank you.
Basically, like that's a huge way to cut a lot of time out because that usually takes us 10 or 15 minutes to do that entire room of trash.
Yeah, I mean, if we could do that, that'd be awesome. I think it's definitely on this list of things we're about to go through. That's definitely the most unreasonable or the hardest to hit. If you're a speedrunning guild, very easy to hit. Everyone's already an engineer already because you're using like all the speed boost stuff, like the boots and things like that, like all the time anyway for the speedrun guild. So everyone's an engineer already.
Yeah, and you're using grenades on every trash pack.
Yeah, you're using grenades and stuff. So it's really cool. I would love to be able to try this, but gonna be a little unreasonable. And also, I would imagine the first couple times we try it, we're wiping. We are.
Yeah,
it's not gonna work out. Something funny is gonna happen.
Well, but that's fine because we usually always lose our world buffs on Gluth for some reason. But
there's last time was on Thaddeus. Shockingly enough, we won't go into that, but
it was on Gluth.
Nope, it was on Thaddeus. We lost our world buffs on Tuesday on Thaddeus. Exec got launched over and insta-gibbed, and then we wiped. We one-shot Gluth on Tuesday.
I was pretty sure I called it, and then we wiped again. I'll have to go back and look at the VOD on
we definitely one-shot. So I got killed on Gluth, so it should have been like an obvious wipe because I got immediately murdered. So we only had one tank for it, but we somehow did it anyway. And I remember being like, wow, well, we should celebrate this. We actually did it without wiping. We definitely did not wipe there. We wiped on Not even Thaddeus. We wiped on the two little guys before Thaddeus when Exec got pulled over. I know you're looking it up, but I promise.
He's got this look on his face like he's like, I'm looking at the logs.
Like, I don't believe this. Bring up the logs.
Bring
But
up the logs.
I
don't worry,
wasn't there. I think that's why you wiped.
little note about Yip. Impeccable memory. And I'm always right.
Is this true, Bringo? Is this true?
It's hard to say. I think some
He doesn't remember, but I do.
I don't remember.
He's pleading the fifth. Is what I hear here.
As he's looking that up, I'm going to talk about the second thing that you can do, which is the Huygen safe spot, which I've known about for a while. But I'm not. It's a pretty gray area thing to do. So there's a couple safe spots. One of the major safe spots, I'm pretty sure got hot fixed already. I remember there being a hotfix that came out to fix it, but there are still safe spots where you can just avoid the Huygen dance altogether and just not do it. You just hold them apart, so Huygen will be just out of range to mana burn your healers, and you can just not have to do the dance, which is pretty nice.
To be fair, I've never wiped in the dance. Like, it's not that hard, people.
Exactly. So for us personally, especially if you use like a swiftness Zanza beforehand, the dance is not difficult.
I also feel like a swiftness Zanza makes it harder because
you're running too fast.
Yeah, because the pace I go, it's like I know I'm not going to get to the other, lava thing before it goes up, and then it goes up, and I'm like, right there, and then I keep going. Like I have a rhythm now that I use, and if I change that rhythm, I'm super fucked.
Of course, you can just stop on them every time, and then you're good to go.
Keep dying. I swear I'm on corpse, and I can't do the dance.
You just
can't do it.
Well, that I think is your keyboard turning.
Yeah,
maybe the issue there. Yeah, but if there was like a bug to get through the other zone, I would totally do that.
Yeah, that's the other thing is we lose people on the gauntlet part. We're not losing people on the dance. Like maybe we lose a couple people.
Most people is in the gauntlet.
Like we're losing most people in that gauntlet.
Yeah, dude, Yip, you are definitely right. I just looked it up.
Shocking.
Wow.
What can I say? And things did go. We were just we were pumping. Like sometimes we're just on, and it might just be the amount of world buffs we're bringing or whatever. But like we just pumped them down, and this was the first week that people really turned on those zombie chow. And maybe it's because the kiting was a little better this week. I don't know. I was just dead chilling out. But maybe it's because the kiting was really good. But not a zombie chow didn't even get close this week. Normally we're like, kill them. He's eating them. But this time, it was really solid on that. And then after the decimate, we just finished him off really easily.
See, like I'm pretty sure I died. And so I thought of it as a wipe, because I was like, dang it, really I was so close to Thaddeus. I want to do Thaddeus with world buffs so bad.
Yeah, I made a huge error because people have been pulling. So like he hits really, really hard. Like he'll just obliterate me when I'm tanking him. Same with Exec. So like it's difficult because as Exec pulls back, what I'm trying to do is build as much threat as I can, and I'll like dual wield and auto attack and try to build raid because I want to be just under Exec the whole time so that nobody, like a couple of weeks we've had like a mage pull off. Occasionally someone else might have more because I have to wear a shield anytime I'm tanking, and there's a fear, which means I'm not being able to build threat the entire time if I don't get fear warded at some point or something. So unfortunately, like one of my auto attacks pulled while I wasn't wearing a shield, and I think I died in like half a second. Like, I think he got parry hasted because that can happen as well, too. And then I just immediately got crushed down. And then at that point, even if I get battle res, I won't be able to gain enough threat again to be able to come back up and actually tank more. So that was a big problem, but we got through it. Luckily, glut is still like a big problem for us for some reason. So cleaning up our Tuesdays is very important. And maybe this Huygen safe spot works as well, too. I'd be worried just because of like it is kind of sketchy.
Yeah, so like I thought this. Okay, so one of them was definitely patched out. We covered it, but it looks like I watched the video they showed in here, and it's a completely different safe spot. Yeah. So I wonder if there's still safe spots that are not fixed, and
I think there are.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds kind of sketch, and honestly, he hasn't really been that hard for us. So I feel like doing the sketch is just like, Kinda
the
BM.
first time we try it would be the week that they patch it and we don't know about it yet.
Yeah, that would
Like,
definitely be our
That's
MO.
100% what would happen to us.
I mean, that's true. Like, I listen, I love our guild. I think that we are above average when you look at like everything across the board. We're not good at that kind of stuff. We're not good at changing the strategy. We're not good at like, hey, here's how we're gonna do it this week. Stand on this person. Like, we're just not good at it.
There's
I just
definitely a
don't see
handful of people that once we're on bosses that are just farm, they're listening to Warcraft Reloaded instead of listening to, Discord chat.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell just by the amount of people who maybe like don't repair when we drop a repair bot. Like, Discord is not the main thing they're listening to when we're raiding.
Yeah, and I think
they're
it may
just
not
like,
even be
"Ooh,
worth the
ooh."
wipe trying this stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, yeah, because if it gets patched, it's worthless. I mean, Hygen's easy. Like, we can almost kill him with no world buffs, like before
Right.
he teleports. So it's sort of
Yeah.
like, it's just not worth it. But it is cool that people are doing it, I guess, or not cool. I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. Skipping mechanics just doesn't feel right to me. Actually, I'm gonna take that back. It's not cool. I think it is like kind of an abuse of a bug. If you're straight skipping mechanics like that, I just don't think that that's intended. Now, I don't think these people should be banned or
I
anything.
would have to
but
agree.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
definitely
I think
not.
like sappering and using things within the game to like make something faster, I think that's fine. But I think getting in spots that weren't intended to be safe spots and skipping out on other things, I think that's just
cheesy.
you're going through
kind
the
of a-
game for a different reason.
it's
Like,
kind of a meme now. The phrase "clever use of game mechanics." It's like,
yeah,
it's not a bug, it's
fair.
clever use of game mechanics.
Yeah.
But like, there are actual clever uses of game mechanics. Like the flask of petrification stuff is a clever use of game mechanics versus just like, this probably is not intended to be here.
Right.
Yep. So then the next one is the major recombobulator, using it on Lotheb because it doesn't actually fall under the effects of corrupted mind, which is what makes it so you can't cast a heal. So it's like a little like 375 to 625 health heal, but if all the healers have it, it could be a
Well,
huge heal if they use it.
here's the important thing that I didn't realize when we were first looking at this. I was like, yeah, if all of them have it, it definitely helps. This works with your plus spell power and plus healing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
for a
huge.
healer, this is really like a plus 1400 heal on average, which is quite a bit. That's almost an entire impending doom. 2 of these makes up for more than an impending doom. So having these on a handful of healers, I know we had some this last week that we did it on Thursday. I guess it was just yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if it helped a lot, but Corpse was definitely kept up really, really well. And then again, we were still down a healer. We didn't have Mel there, so down a healer. It seemed like Corpse was leveled off really well. It's perfect for when we're not sure someone's cast is going to get off in time. Someone can pop it, and it just gives them that extra little bit to live. And I think having a handful of people with this, having 6 healers with this is absolutely insane. I think it really trivializes the tank healing a lot, because that's
But
really
you
just
have to
and
have
on top of it-
engineering, correct?
Yeah, you have to have
65.
engineered to use it. And on top of that, there's a lot of items that scale with the plus, spell damage and plus healing. One of the things being the undead holy water you get from Strathholm. That scales with spell damage. So if a mage or a warlock uses those, they are huge compared to a warrior using them.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And I mean, I was even thinking like 375 to 625. It's like maybe not having like Hand of Justice on, like, I'm like calculating in my head, like maybe, because you have to think, if your guild is struggling, I think this is the important part. Like, if overall you have enough DPS to kill Lotheb on time, but your tank keeps dying, it wouldn't be bad for even like casters to put this on, because they will have a little bit of spell power to increase this amount. So like, if your guild is struggling with the keeping the main tank alive part, if you're not using the weak aura that we're using, like if we weren't using that weak aura, I think we'd be having a lot of trouble
more
still
problems,
with that
yeah.
healing
Yeah,
part
absolutely.
too.
Thank you, weak aura gods. You are our savior.
Yeah,
So
except when you
wait,
steal
you can
everyone's
use
gold.
this on somebody else?
Yeah, you can use it on someone else. So you use it on Corpse, and it'll heal for like 1400 on him.
Oh.
So like, if he gets down to 25% and someone's like, I'm healing, one person just pop it, and it'll like put him back up a little bit so he doesn't get killed by a melee or something.
Yep. Okay, so
Yeah,
the next one is a druid kiting zombie chow. And the video given is actually our boy Dally, like showing how the druid shaman kiting method works. And it's interesting because they're basically, if I read this correctly, they're basically just renewing the entire raid
Yeah,
and
I can
therefore
confirm.
giving themselves like a ton of aggro.
Well, it's not
Yeah, I can
renew.
confirm that
It
druids
rejuve.
pull threat all the time.
Yeah,
Like
it's
if
not
I'm gonna
renew.
lose
You're right.
threat, yeah, not renew.
I had a
But
Mel moment there. Give me a break.
if a healer pulls threat, it's almost always a druid, and their threat is actually insane. So it makes sense to me that this would work. I think the zombie chat would absolutely follow them, but then it's just about having them be ready to move around. We don't have Earthbind totem on Alliance, so we would have to have like a warrior, maybe piercing howl or something like that, and then we have frost traps as well too, to make it a little easier. But it definitely seems cool. It could work well. We probably want to like practice it one time. It would sting to like lose world buffs trying a new method. I think that's like the biggest problem that we have
Right.
is like you don't want to go in, try something new, and then waste your time doing it. You want this to just like work
Well,
right
okay.
I
away.
feel like once
Let
we
me-
To
get
be
quicker
fair,
at
this is
these
the
days-
boss that we lose it on the most.
Yeah, let me give you a what if though. Maybe we do the exact same thing, but instead have Wiccan or Carpet just try this in addition with the mages and just see if we don't have as much problem with the zombie chow coming at Gluth.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely be fine. Like it definitely can work fine. I think another huge benefit of this is when we're fully world buffed, we're like just at the point where we can maybe kill him before the first decimate, but having the mages on him will almost guarantee that we're
Definitely,
killing
yeah.
Gluth before the first decimate, which is just it just makes everything a million times easier as well too. So definitely something worth trying out, especially if you're struggling more than we are. We're struggling in like silly ways, like we have enough damage. We know we have enough good players, but it's like, oh, like a mage who isn't kiting is just like pulling aggro and not watching through. It's like a bunch of these like silly things that keep happening. Not really like a fundamental strategy problem that we have on him, but he is just one of those bosses that I mean, he'll crush you. He'll eat his chow and then you'll wipe.
Yeah, sometimes it's just the off chance that, things go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
You totally did get what I did there, but I probably should have done it. So
No,
the next
I got
one,
you.
the next one is cleaving Thane and Morgraine on 4 horsemen. And this sounds crazy to me. So you're basically doing the Thane burn, but you're doing it with Morgraine right next to him, so you can just cleave him down with your warriors and your rogues as fast as possible. This sounds like nobody should really attempt this except the big guilds.
Yeah, this is like a speed run strat. It's something that people knew they could do even before Naxx came out. I remember people in Fight Club talking about how it would definitely be possible to do it. So we struggled
I'm
just
sorry.
to get Thane
Wait,
down on
I need to
time.
pause you. I'm sorry, Fight Club?
Oh, it's the warrior like Discord is
Okay.
Fight Club. by
This is
Steppenwolf.
our healer chat, so you could just back out.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's where
I'm
all it's
sorry.
like
It just sounded so like nonchalant. Like, yeah, we heard about it in Fight Club. Like,
sorry, it's a warrior Discord by like the
You're
best
not
warrior
supposed
in
to
the
talk
game.
about Fight Club. It's the first rule.
But it's so warriors have
Exciting.
always been obviously the best DPS in Classic, but it takes a lot of like theory crafting and like gear simming to do. So the person who made like the best sim spreadsheet put this together, and everyone in there is where a lot of general theory crafting will happen in there as well too. So there'll be like general channels where people talk about certain boss fights, and there'll be theory crafting before a tier comes out. That's really really useful in there. So people were talking about doing this, but again, I mean it requires probably a very warrior heavy setup like you would see in a speedrunning guild. I think a normal guild doesn't have any chance of doing this. I think that if you're doing 4 horsemen like a normal guild, I think your kind of speedrun easy strat is to nuke down Thane, which is like what we do. I think that most guilds should be able to do that. If you're bringing in 40 world buffed, you can get Thane down really quick, and then you just have 3 horsemen to deal with, which isn't that hard. 3 horsemen.
I love
not
how it's
crazy.
like what we do because we did it once.
Hey man, but it's what
Well,
we do
I mean,
now.
it's what we try to
Yeah.
do every
you're right.
time. We will continue to attempt to do it while we have our world buffs. And I mean, we did it once. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't, unless we wipe on the 3 horsemen that are left. We'll just continue to do it that way at this point. It was pretty smooth the way we did
See,
it.
now I
I
feel
would,
like if we wipe on it, it's gonna be my fault because
oh,
it wasn't
absolutely. I
there,
mean, it's
and
the
you guys
healer's fault
one-shot
anyway.
him, and
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna be me. I know it.
always.
Super
It's
field.
Yeah. I mean, part of me, honestly, this is like general advice.
It's gonna be
The Thane
me.
strat,
Sorry, I
the
couldn't help
Thane strat
myself.
is like fine, but I think that it's messing people up because the rotations are a little simpler when you're killing the horsemen one at a time. Because you have your rotation going between Thane and Mograine. You kill Thane, and now you're killing Mograine, and then the range are going to the back one and Mograine, and then the melee are going to the back left one and like Blamau or whatever, and Mograine. And it kind of makes it a little more simple about what the rotations are like. The problem is we learned the 4 horseman rotation, but we nuked Thane, and now everyone's like, wait, okay, now where do I go? I'm going to Mograine, and like people got lost right away. And then, like, once we had Mograine down, people were just like, what
well, now I have
do we
no
do
idea
now?
what to do.
Like, yeah, it's not like a natural progression where you're just slowly changing your rotation. It's like you're pretty quickly changing your rotation each time. And then the healers were just, I mean, I don't even know. And like, this is something that I think everyone needs
The
to think through
healers were
because
just amazing. Is that what you were
no,
gonna
it was
Did I
well,
finish your sentence there?
it's just like it's not like a healer's fault individually, but like, especially once a couple healers die, we can't have a rotation where like there's 0 healers on a boss, which is what was
It's
happening.
fair.
And it's like, but these are things that you have to like plan for ahead of time. Like we need
Right.
to somehow plan for like these circumstances.
I just remember IDDQD being like, somebody heal Bob. Somebody heal Bob. Somebody heal Bob.
I think
Like-
that's when I ran in. I was like, I'm just gonna run in and like sacrifice myself because
I'll
we
try
have
to
all these
heal
tanks
Bob.
left. Yeah, we have enough tanks left. It's just the healers had to
Yip
drop
comes in
back.
with his band-aids and he's band-aiding me up.
It's like, I got you, Bob.
Oh man,
Yeah,
so okay. Do you add something else to
No,
that?
that's everything on Horseman. That's
All right, so the next one is Prayer of Healing on Saffron. And this one is kind of like not really usable unless you have like 7 or 8 priests. But I guess they're specking into improved prayer of healing, which brings down the mana cost. And I'm assuming they don't say it here, but I'm assuming they're using tier 1 8 of 8 in this instance because it gives you 25%.
Get rid of tier 1 8 of 8. I don't know why you keep saying
No.
it.
Well,
tier 1 has spell damage on it, Bob. It's the worst set in the game.
Well,
It's got spell damage on it.
yes, but it gives a 25% crit chance to Prayer of Healing.
Yeah, but 20. But
Yeah.
you're going
Is
from
is that not as
Prayer
good
of
as the
Healing has an
stats?
amazing
I
coefficient.
think your base healing, or like the amount of healing you get from tier 2 or whatever else you have that's better than tier 1, outweighs the crit that you would have for the tier 1 bonus.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
can you
gotcha.
Google really quick the coefficient? My keyboard's going to be too loud for this. But the Prayer of Healing coefficient is very, very good. So like what you're doing is if you get rid of, 500 plus healing from wearing tier 1, that's like a spread out so much less healing, even if
Okay.
you're critting
Yeah.
25%
I
more of the time.
didn't realize the priest tier 1 was that bad. I knew
Yeah, because it's
that
spell
the-
damage on it, so it's like really bad. Yeah.
Weird. Okay, I knew that the druid tier
Oh,
1 was
damage? Really?
horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I could just be making this up, but I'm pretty sure that the tier 1 is like design. It has spell damage and healing, so it's like doesn't have very high numbers on it because the Shadow Priest can use it too.
Gotcha.
So it's
Okay.
just really
Well, okay, so the basis of this strategy is they're just using Prayer of Healing rank 1 and just cheesing it using that, and that's basically all they're using. But it's only usable if you have like 7 or 8 priests, so it's not really a thing that most guilds are going to be able to do.
and we do have
I
7
don't
priests.
think that's true. I don't think that's true though. Like you can use it if you have 5 or 6 priests. It's just the other healers will heal the other groups that aren't in the Prayer of Healing group.
Yeah, but I think it just makes it a lot easier because you also have to balance the fact that like the main tank needs good heals the entire time too. So if all of your priests are not healing the main tank, it becomes like an issue as well too. But I think honestly, this seems like it would work out really well. I think even with improved Prayer of Healing, though, Prayer of Healing is quite a bit of mana.
Yeah.
So we would have to try that out. But I honestly, I think we might be trying this out because we need to figure out what we're doing. We were having a ton of problems when it comes to the heal side, not because of healers or anything like that, but it just like it's so much damage across the board, whether it's
I don't
people
know
not using potions or
Yeah, I don't know how much mana rank 1 Prayer of Healing costs. I know I use a down rank. It's definitely not rank 1. I think it might be rank 3.
Well,
I think
okay,
the
but
top rank is rank 5.
yeah,
Am
but
I crazy?
the whole point of this is that like every priest is actually specking in to improve Prayer of Healing, which brings the mana cost down by 30%. At the same time, though, I don't know that priests could actually sustain. I feel like this is a strategy used for nobody wearing frost res and trying to burn.
Well, at the same time though, they might not need to like spam it. Like it could be like they use it.
No, I think if
They
you
use
use
it.
rank 1, you could spam rank 1 Prayer of Healing, if I'm understanding correctly. I don't know what the mana cost is of it, but rank 1, I feel like, should be significantly less mana. I mean, I can spam rank 3, I think, pretty decently on the gargoyles and still have half mana at the end of a gargoyle, right? So, and I know that's not a long fight, but I think if you're spamming rank 1, it's going to take all of your plus healing and still add it to your rank 1 base
And
prayer of healing.
most healers are not using frost protection potions either. They're using their
Right,
pre-popping
mana
a frost
pots.
protection potion. They're using mana pots still. Dark Rune might not be worth it, but they are using mana pots and stuff. So like it is possible that they'll have enough healing for this. I mean, this is definitely something I want to try because we are struggling on Saffron, and this definitely makes things easier. It's like this is your group. All you have to do is Prayer of Healing.
Right.
Everyone is gonna, we're not gonna have a ton of movement when they fly up. Everyone will just spread where they are so that you're not in range of other people, and like that could be enough to really simplify things.
I would
and
love
make it good.
that. Love it.
Yeah, I mean it's like Veil. I mean they spam Prayer of Healing on Veil, right? And I mean obviously that's a minute fight versus like a 5 to 6 minute fight, but if they can sustain enough, like it's definitely worthwhile at least trying out.
All right, yep. Do you want to take us through this last one? The biggest meme talent in all of WoW Classic?
Yeah, but this is the one I don't even agree with them on this one. So this is basically just saying that Lightwell is actually useful in Naxx, and there's a couple of bosses they say it's useful
I
on.
do kind of agree with Lotheb and Four Horse. Patchwork, I don't think so, really.
So I'm about to tell you why that is not the case.
Right,
So
well,
they're
educate
saying
me.
there's 3 bosses is useful on. Patchwork is one, and they're saying because the fight's long, your warlocks can go ahead and use Lightwell in order to heal up because they use life tap in order to sustain. So part of the way a warlock functions is they have to life tap in order to gain their mana back. That's just like the way it works. So they do take damage during that. The biggest problem with that is
But they're not
that it
taking
doesn't
any
matter.
other damage, right? So it's
Yeah,
not
there's
like
no other damage.
they could go down to 1 health
And then
and
bandage.
still be fine.
Exactly. So they can bandage every time they can. They can health stone themselves. The thing is that Patchwork is not a DPS race. It just isn't a DPS race at all. If guilds are struggling on Patchwork, it's not because they don't have enough DPS and they need to like cheese some way for the warlocks to be able to do more damage on the fight.
It is to a certain extent when you look at mana, right? I mean, there
Sure.
are times like if it extends way too long, our healers are out of mana and then everybody's gonna die.
Yeah. I mean, sure, there are cases like that, but I think that like you'd have to have a pretty slow. Either you have healers who are not like properly mana potting or don't have enough gear at the time, or who haven't like been playing this whole time, or like they're just not like mana potting and dark runing properly on cooldown and things like that. I think that for the most part, most guilds world buffed. That is, this is all world buff. Patchwork not world buffed. We've never done, so I'm not quite sure how impossibly hard that will be. But it's just sort of like this is such a minor thing, and Lightwell is the last Lightwell is the last talent in the healing tree, isn't it? Isn't you have to go full holy to
I
get
think you're
Lightwell?
right. Yeah. No.
So that means
Wait.
is a single PI better for the Warlock than being able to life tap and get more mana? It may
Right.
be.
That's a
Like
good
so it
point.
is kind of like
Because I think
so it is
the like angel is the last talent in the healing tree or in the discipline tree, right? The little angel that when you die you
Spirit
can
of
still heal.
Redemption.
Yeah.
I truly do not know.
know. Yeah.
He should know. Maybe you should
It
know.
is for sure not.
this.
It is power infusion at the bottom of the discipline tree. I've
No,
been
That sounds
power
good.
infusion's in the middle.
Power infusion is
Power
not at the
infusion's in
bottom
the
of the
middle.
discipline
Okay,
tree.
maybe I'm wrong.
I
Sure.
guarantee you it's not at the bottom of the discipline tree.
Okay.
We have two priests. We have two priests on this podcast right now, guys.
And I
This is
say
so
that, but
embarrassing.
now I'm
Call in if you
like,
know.
oh crap, am I wrong?
But so let's move on from Patchwork though. We have Lotheb, which is one that also is pointless entirely. So casting Lightwell doesn't trigger Corrupted Mind, which is cool, and it's comparing it to Shaman's healing stream totem, but it's not really the same at all because Lightwell has a limited amount of uses. It's your party only, so it's only the group that you're in can use it, and you can't use it on the main tank. So there's really no point. So if you're Alliance,
yeah.
that is. So if you're Horde, you have the healing stream totem, and maybe like a light well or two could be helpful. But with Alliance, Paladin's Seal of Light heals all the melee more than the poison aura does. So there's actually no purpose to the light well at all. Like you don't need any more healing. It covers you all like entirely there. So like Lightwell doesn't actually really gain you anything. It takes away from DPS because you have to stop and go to it and then use it. It has limited uses. We're talking about 5 uses in like the entire time you're doing it. So like it really isn't.
Well,
it's not going to make Lotheb easier.
Yeah.
It's not going to make the hard parts of Lotheb any easier.
Well, now that you mentioned that, like you basically just made it not usable for the 4 horsemen fight either, because if the whole raid could use it, it would be useful to have 1 or 2
Yeah.
priests with it. But since only your group could use it,
Yeah.
this is like this is bogus.
I mean,
we should
it's
just
cool.
move on.
Okay. Okay,
Like,
can
it's
I
cool to the
clarify
prof-
something really fast? So
Yeah.
power infusion is the last talent in the discipline tree.
Oh,
Bada
It
bing,
is.
bada boom.
Sorry.
Wow.
And Lightwell is the last talent in the holy tree.
Okay.
I hate
Great.
being right, but it's just like
It
a way
doesn't
of
happen
life.
very often, so
Listen,
I guess you can.
I don't feel bad. These two should.
Yeah, I need to,
I'm
I mean,
sorry. I'm
Bingo's never
sorry
been
I
power infusion.
haven't.
yeah, I've never
Okay,
been.
I
I've
have.
been healing forever.
I
So
have
just
also
really quick
been
with the horseman situation, it talks about how it's useful to have it in the safe zone so that you can heal up a little bit, which is true. It is nice to heal up a little bit there. You can bandage. Everyone should have first aid. You're bandaging on Lotheb, so like you should already be able to go to the safe spot and bandage yourself already.
Yep.
That's really the real reason that Lightwell, I think, isn't useful. I mean, I can see some scenarios in some guilds where these tactics maybe will give you a slight edge, but they're not actually fixing the hard parts of these fights. Like the hardest part of Horseman is not like, dang it, my health is just too low in the safe spot right now. Like it's everything else that 4 Horsemen is.
Yep.
And Lotheb, the hard part is keeping your tank alive. I mean, everything else is pretty simple. Everyone doing the spores, not that difficult, as long as you're calling them out and you have groups. Keeping your own personal consumes, as long as you're doing your own personal consumes right, you're not going to die personally on Lotheb. So the only real wipe scenario is your main tank dying, and your main tank won't be able to make use of Lightwell. Maybe you could drop it on him. Maybe you could drop it right next to him.
You can't, because it still is a channeled thing, just like your bandages.
Oh, right.
So.
Yeah, it's channeled. Yeah. You
Oh,
have
you
to
have to
actually like
click it?
cast it on yourself. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, it's cool, but I don't think when you look at the list of these other really cool things like the
Listen,
major
nobody should have
recombobulator
that
on this
talent.
list.
Recombobulator.
Nobody should have that talent.
Yeah,
okay?
we'll
we just end
throw
with that? Like,
yeah, we're gonna throw
please
out
don't get
Lightwell.
Lightwell.
There's like it literally. Yep, just told us why it's not worthwhile.
You could maybe get Spirit of Redemption, which you probably shouldn't, but you could.
That is
Just-
now that is a real strat that you can do.
Right,
You can
like
die on
that-
purpose.
Well, I mean, you only have 10 seconds to heal then.
Well, no, but I mean, like, towards the end,
Right.
if it's scary, you can
Like you're out
cast
of
a heal,
mana.
die on purpose, and then you can cast another heal. You won't be on the cooldown anymore.
Can't
So
you
you'll be
just
able to hear.
continuously cast?
I'm not 100% sure. You might be able to on Lothab.
I don't think.
I'm not
Yeah, I
sure.
don't think because I don't
Because
think
you're
you have
not
any
alive.
debuffs.
Yeah, you're
not
not
alive.
Yeah,
alive.
you might. Yeah, you
So
might
you
just be
can
able to
just,
continuously
like,
cast.
You
Then,
can just
yeah.
like flash heal the crap out of that.
Well, that's perfect. Yeah, so that is a legitimate cheese strat that I think would help on Lothab when people are really struggling. A
Right.
lot better than like wow.
All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Agreed.
I didn't expect this to go this long, so this next part's
Shocking.
gonna have to be like a little bit quicker. But I'm actually really excited about Bingo's take on a lot of this stuff. Like, we all played TBC, but Bingo didn't, and so we're just gonna go over a few of the like big changes that come with the Burning Crusade. So first off, Blood Elves and Draenei. Like, what do you think, Bingo, about Blood Elves and Draenei?
I'm gonna say
That-
Draenei this whole time, but
So
so
I sort of want to roll one of these.
well, you're gonna have to roll one of these. So Bingo told me he wants to roll a shaman.
Yes.
I think this is still the only race that can actually be a shaman in TBC. So
Gotcha.
Yep.
you got to be a goat guy with tentacles on your face.
That's sweet.
That's
I love that.
sweet.
I mean, how do you feel about the
And then Blood Elves
backwards
kind of
knees?
take. This is the
I don't
more
mind the
important
backwards
thing.
news.
Blood Elves stole all the
Oh,
Alliance
yeah.
people because the Horde finally gets someone pretty to be.
That's literally when I switched
Very
to Horde.
like.
I said, okay, I can play Horde.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
that's been a
pretty
lot of
person
people
there.
switch to Horde.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a little cooler.
They're
but,
the only
and also
like
when you think about the lore-
semi-attractive class. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, for sure.
They might be the
so
most
like,
attractive
if we want to talk
class.
about
Yeah.
so when it comes to lore, also the Blood Elves totally have the Draenei beat. So Blood Elves, right? They're high elves that are addicted to mana, basically, and they leave and like go somewhere, and they're just like eating mana the whole time. They're just like, oh, I love mana, and whatever, it's cool. Draenei are space goats. They're on a spaceship that crashes on Azeroth, and they're just from outer space. And like that's what they are.
That's
So-
Which one do you like the most?
I think
It
Blood Elves
was-
are the most like normal.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they make sense.
Yeah, they make complete
Normal?
sense. Draenei were just complete. Okay, we need to make something. How about space goats? Like, I mean, they were an afterthought, I feel.
Well, okay, so it depends on how far back you go. So Draenei exist on the other side of the Dark Portal. So the whole lore of the whole lore of World of Warcraft. I think you played some Warcraft. Did you ever play?
Yeah.
Yeah, the RCS Warcraft. So a portal opens up, and orcs start coming through the portal, and it's humans versus orcs is like really the origin. On the other side of that portal are a subjugated race of Draenei. That's actually their main planet. It's Draenor and Draenei. See, I say Draenor differently than I say Draenei, so I'm really questioning myself here. But
Yeah.
but
You should.
so on Draenor, they were over there, and the orcs killed them all and subjugated them, and they make sense. It's just odd that their main city is literally a spaceship that crashes near where the Night Elves are on an island.
Less
It's kind of just
exciting.
bizarre.
I just got a history lesson. This is great.
yeah.
I know,
mean,
right?
it's
I did
interesting.
too bingo, and I've been playing this for years, so don't worry about it.
Pandas come out later too. That's even.
Well,
yeah.
and
they're on a
There we go.
turtle.
It's
something
weird.
to point out, though, is that at this point in original vanilla, the Alliance was so much overpopulated over Horde. And this is actually the turning point that so many people re-rolled Horde, and then Horde became the dominant faction throughout World of Warcraft to date.
Yeah, ever since
That's
Horde have
interesting.
been number one.
For the Alliance.
Listen, everyone loves an underdog story, all right?
Yeah. Underdog story.
I mean, they're only number one because they put an Alliance race on the Horde side. Like, let's
Yeah,
not.
it should have
They
been the
for
other
real
way,
did.
right? I feel like it should have just been the other way.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, I think
And
like
even
these
every
already have
Horde,
Night Elves.
exist
even
for
We
every
already have
Horde.
Night
Horde
Elves,
hated
though.
Blood Elves. We got shit on the entire time we played.
I didn't, but I was a girl.
Everybody, yeah, well, I mean, you got special treatment, but everybody got shit on when you were a Blood Elf. They're like, oh, you're a Blood Elf. Okay.
What's
Well, it's kind
bizarre?
of like, oh, you're a human priest. Why wouldn't you go a dwarf? And I was like, I didn't want to be a freaking dwarf.
What's bizarre is that now with like these allied races in retail, they've gone back and now there's void elves on Alliance, and now Alliance have effeminate elves now too. So blood elves, yeah, you can't tell from the picture I was showing you, but they're extraordinarily effeminate, which is fine. But they are like
But
blood
night
elves are like
aren't night elves the same thing?
no, night elves are like they're like chilling and they're like buff, and then blood elves they like put their hand on their hip when they stand and like they twirl around when they jump, like so they're very like they're like an effeminate version, and then later we get them back with void elves.
Like at the time, they were considered metro. It was a metrosexual, you know, just to give you the history lesson back in the day.
Do you think this will change our population on the server?
Yeah, so I think not because of I think because of mechanics. So what happens is paladins are now blood elves get to be paladins.
Gotcha.
And then Draenei get to be shaman. So that's how they introduce these classes to each other.
Right.
The problem is that blood elves and any alliance paladin, they actually are different. So they have different abilities. Unfortunately, they have one ability that's different.
Kind of like priests, where the dwarves get where the dwarves
right. Unfortunately, that makes horde paladins better for the most part. Are better than the alliance paladins.
Yeah,
for DPS. So for like raid environment, they are better. So I think that's a problem for classic. It's not because like, oh, I want to go play a blood elf. It's going to be because if something is mechanically better, it's going to draw people to it. Yeah. So I think what a lot of people are calling for is that both sides will just get the same spells so that it doesn't cause a problem like that. And that'd be nice if they did that.
Now, you want to hear something crazy? We talked about this on the Con Before the Storm panel last night. I actually blew the other guys on the panel's mind because I pointed out, according to ironforge.pro right now, Alliance is 53% of the population and Horde is 47%. So now that was not the case 6 months ago. Like Horde would dominated. And I wonder if that's because like we're just left with the hardcores now in Classic.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, raiding with salve is honestly like really nice. We don't have like these threat problems.
Yep.
So that could be the reason why. It could be that a lot of Horde. I haven't seen like the graph of over time. I would imagine though, because retail is Horde favored, maybe a lot of those people who came to play Classic played Horde also, and now they're back over to retail like that. Yeah. Maybe they just took a bigger population back to retail. I'm sure there's a few reasons why, but that is very close. That gap could very easily be closed.
Dude, you know where it's sitting?
I think it's
white main is sitting currently at 50%, 50%. Like we are so lucky compared to so many other servers. I don't see any server that's actually at 50-50.
We struggled to get here though. We did the nail to stay. We easily could have been. I mean, that was cool. Between queues and phase 2, I easily could have just like quit Classic WoW.
Like, how long were the queues?
Same.
4 to 5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Every day.
Oh,
so to raid Molten Core.
And then once you got in, you couldn't go AFK. Or you'd get back in the queue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'd get disconnected. So you used to be able to AFK really, really easily. Like you just AFK and like auto run into something, but they changed it to make it kick you out more. So even if you were doing stuff every now and then, you'll still disconnect because they didn't want people to sit in the game all day and then wait to raid time. So they're disconnecting people who are artificially AFK and like trying to not look AFK. So that was a really big
like when you'd get on and jump every like 10
you jump every 10 minutes.
I mean, the best way to keep not from going AFK was to flight path from the top of the map to the bottom of the map, and then rinse,
that
repeat.
ended up being the best.
But okay, so new mounts. So you know the Blood Elves are cool. I liked them, but boy, their mount sucks. Like they have the Hawk Strider, which is basically just.
You don't think the Hawk Strider is the sickest mount ever?
No, I think it's the stupidest. It's like riding an ostrich. I think it's so
Yeah,
gross. Did you know
it's
it was
awesome.
actually called a cockatrice first, and they changed it to Hawk Strider?
That's fine. A cockatrice is a mythological creature. All right, you know, Bob. That's a.
I like the colors.
Educate me. I love it.
Listen, I mean, I don't know more about them. I just know they're like a mythological creature called a cockatrice. Like it's just a thing I know about. But I mean, I think they're cool. And the White Hawk Strider on Alliance was like a really awesome mount to get, which you could get from a dungeon in the Burning Crusade. So I think it's all right.
Yeah, I think
they're
you're
cool.
riding an ostrich. I think
So hold on, we're talking. Let's run through a couple of these rams. You think they're less cool than a ram?
Yes.
100. Oh, man.
You think they're less cool?
I disagree with you here, Bob.
Do you think they're less cool than a robot Meccano Strider? That's
No,
literally just like
no. I think
the whole time.
I think they are literally just. I think they're even with the stupid gnome mounts. I hate the gnome mounts. At least they don't make noise.
Wait, let me. You know what? I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. This opinion is awfully wrong, but I'm gonna say that Bob likes the Elix. Then, do you like Elix for the Draenei?
I actually don't remember what it looks like. Actually, I'm gonna look here.
It's just an elephant. They're elephants.
Hold on.
Too,
I don't.
They radiate like here? Big truck energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
I can see that.
Oh
it's
yeah.
Just like
no. No. I'm not a fan of that either.
Okay,
I just don't like my ram that much. I gotta get something else.
A tiger is like pretty much, I think, Biss.
Dude, the tigers are man.
Listen,
like I'm so upset
mount,
I don't
though,
have my
tiger. I agree.
Tiger.
The no mount is the worst. Like
so
every
loud,
time I get on my mage and I mount up, I'm like, oh my god, what is that? Stop! Like it's so annoying.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so all right. So let's just jump past the mounts. We all have our opinions.
Some are better than others, but yes.
We don't have a ton of time left, so we're gonna have to skip some stuff. But I want to hit the biggest ones, especially with bingo.
Before you hit that, I do want to bring up though, flying mounts come out.
That's the big one I want to hit and hear.
Yeah.
Like okay, so basically the Horde flying mount sucks. The Alliance one looks pretty cool. Both of them do the same job, which is awesome. So many people talk smack on flying mounts, and I think they actually fixed the game, whereas other people don't think they did. Really but cool. If you haven't lived through Phase 2 of Classic, I don't respect your opinion. So, no, I like flying mounts, and I want to hear you guys' 2 thoughts, but I want to hear Bingo first. What do you think? Mel, you're muted.
Bingo didn't live through Phase 2.
I know. I want to hear what he thinks about flying mounts. Like
I think flying mounts are amazing. Just right now, I don't know if it's a quest. I don't know if you
you just buy them like a normal mount.
I would love to do that. I would love one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's everyone's initial response. I think if you see how slow the non-epic flying mount is,
dude,
it's literally
unreal.
Like the swim speed. It's literally like swimming through the air. You're like, like slowly going, and that's
and there's
a problem,
not as many like
cool.
landmarks in the air, so you feel like you're not even
anywhere
moving.
with them. Or
you can fly anywhere. Imagine from Stormwind.
No,
you don't take a flight path.
Hold on. Not
anywhere
from
you
Stormwind.
can mount.
You can
I know.
only
I'm trying to explain what it's like.
Okay, gotcha.
Imagine from Stormwind, instead of having to take a flight path over to Morgan's Vigil, and then we all ride over to the mountain. Literally, you could just fly into the sky and then fly straight to the mountain and inside it. And that's what Outland is like. So you can't use it in the normal world in TBC, like Bob's saying. But like you go to raid, you just fly into the sky and you go right to where you're going.
Yeah, I love that.
So you don't have those like awkward flight paths where you're like, I have to go 10 miles this way to come back 7 miles this way to get to my point of origin.
I think the biggest problem in retail when it comes to flying mounts is that every new expansion is designed to not have flying mounts. because they don't come out for like a year, and then they come out in a year, and then it just sort of ruins everything. Where
Well,
with TBC,
they come out at a
there's like
certain
not
point, like basically like 2 levels from max level is basically usually at least through Cataclysm. That's when you get to actually use your
no, that's
flying
not how
mount.
it works anymore. And
Oh, it's
that's
not
not
how
how
it
it
works
works
now.
anymore.
Wow.
They released an achievement like a year later that will retroactively allow you to fly in these places. So it is not like, oh, you do something, now you can fly. You do the entire expansion not flying, and then once people are like bored, they release an achievement. Or like
weird.
I think they're changing it this time to not just be an achievement, but you just have to do a bunch of stuff, like all these dailies, get all the reps up, and then once you do that, you can now fly in these places. So it's like I think that is
Weird.
when people started feeling like these are kind of pointless, and then they ruined the zones afterwards. Whereas TBC is a pretty small area. I feel like Outland is small. It feels more designed to have flying mounts. You have areas like that you're farming that you can only reach with flying mounts.
Now, to
You
be
have
fair,
the eye,
though,
which is floating. What's up?
like to be fair, like just the first zone in TBC is ginormous. It's way better. It's way bigger than Stranglethorn Vale. So it's not like it's really that small. It's just like
Yeah, but
it's
if you
just
compare, like,
less.
okay, way bigger than Stranglethorn Vale, but there's there's many more zones on each continent than just Stranglethorn Vale, right? Like,
True.
so if you compare continents, like it's smaller than the Eastern Kingdoms or Kalimdor. Like, it's smaller than either of those.
Right.
So like you don't
Only
really
a
need to
little
go
bit,
like
though.
fast flying.
Only a little bit.
Yeah. But what's cool is like you have these places like Blade Edge Mountains, Netherstorm. You have all these areas that are meant to have flying in them, and I think that's what really sets it apart. It's not just like, oh, we'll just let you fly later. It's you're working toward flying to get to these areas, these better farming spots and things like that.
How is the level grind?
It's awesome. This is when they really revolutionized it. Yeah, it's like you go to a hub town, they've got like 5 to 10 quests for you, then you go out and do them, and you come back and turn them all in.
Great.
Yeah,
and you
that's
just do
literally
that.
there's no
I
like
think-
I'm flying here across the world for 45 minutes and turning this one quest in to come back 45 minutes later over here. Like all of that's
That
gone.
was the worst.
Yeah, and the most importantly, there's no like, where should I level now? Like that was the
That's
worst
the
in
worst.
Classic.
Yeah.
You hit 40 and you're like, okay, I
Where do
did
I
some of the
go?
Daenerys quests. Like, where do I go?
Like,
I don't
I
want to
guess
level
I'll
any of
grind.
these.
Yeah.
Questy shows like 2 exclamation points in every zone, and you're just like,
Although
Yeah.
I will say though, once the TBC pre-patch hits, basically there's a 30% buff to leveling. So I've heard it's that, leveling from 1 to 60 in Classic is the same as leveling from 1 to 51 or 52 in TBC. So in TBC, that
Okay.
time it took to get to 51, you're going to be 60. So it actually does make it so the quests you just never run out, which is nice because if you're not having a bunch of friends to level up with, like it makes it kind of cool because you could just always have quests.
Yeah, it was like there was a time when I was like 30 to 45. I was running out of quests. I didn't like any of the zones I was in. It was pretty brutal.
yeah.
That's why
I think
boosting happens.
Yeah, right. I think the biggest issue that I've heard that people have with flying mounts is the impact it has on world PvP, which
Yeah.
we have our opinions based on phase 2, obviously. But I also think it is something that will deter the crazy people from camping certain areas, that it's not going to deter, like, if you are herbing or mining or doing whatever you're doing in the world, you can still encounter world PvP.
A ton.
But if you're just ganking people that are going somewhere or AFK or doing something else, like, I don't feel like that's true world PvP. I feel like that's just
grieving.
annoying.
Yeah, it is just grieving. And coming from somebody who did PvP hardcore all through my playtime, you do still PvP, period. It's just actual real PvP instead of people grieving and just taking advantage of choke points that you can't get by. It's actually better. And I don't know what they screwed up after Cataclysm, because obviously they screwed up a lot, but TBC was not like that. There was plenty of PvP
It's not
everywhere.
obviously. There are a lot of people that still enjoy the game. It's just not the same things
Well, the
that
new
we enjoy
system's
right
actually
now.
awesome. The way war mode works, I don't know if you guys are familiar.
No.
But now there's no PvP or PvE servers. You just toggle war mode on and off, and you get like XP boosts and stuff. So there's like a risk reward factor. You can go ahead and play PvE and not world PvP, but I leveled to max level like 30% faster because we turned it on. And what that meant though is sometimes we were just killed. We had to fight, which was fun. So like FJ in our guild and I leveled together. And over the course of like the 10 hours we leveled, it's just there were multiple times where we had to like, should we turn it off? We're getting camped. Like, should we go fight these guys? Can we like try to kill them and camp them so they turn off war mode? So the way it's done now is actually like way more natural, because it is you're PvPing in order to gain a benefit for doing it. And I think that's what natural world PvP should be like. Well, like all my favorite PvP stories are like, I'm farming Fellcloth and then Horde showed up, so I'm calling people in to come fight them. The problem with Phase 2 is it was just like mindless killing each other. You're not fighting over a resource. But come
It's like,
TBC,
I was trying to get to DMEs, and these Horde killed me 82 times as I walked 3 steps to get to my next res spot.
And come TBC, it'll be like, okay, here's a really good farm spot. So if you want it, you might have to PvP for it. Or like, here's like some world quest stuff. If you want to do it, you might have to PvP for it.
This is the first time I've ever played on like a PvP. So I've always done PvE. Never being ganked is the weirdest thing ever.
Super
it's just
annoying.
so frustrating.
All right, well,
it's also the worst as a priest. Like, I know that priests have survivability and we have things that we can do, but nothing's worse than when you're a new priest and you're getting ganked and you just freeze. You're just like, I can't heal you. I don't know what to do right now.
I freeze up every time still. I'm like, well, this guy's just going to kill me. I'm just,
right. Hey, I'm getting hurt over here. I'm going to die in just a few seconds. So I'll meet you back there. It's fine.
Well, unfortunately, I wanted to talk about more of the TBC stuff, but we have run out of time, and so we're gonna have to actually end out the show, guys. It's sad, but it is true. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. If you want to follow the Mash Those Buttons Network, you can do that at the Mash Network. Guys, I've been asking for this for weeks, and no one will give me them. We want your WoW stories. We want you to send them in to wcrpodcast@gmail.com, or send us a audio file of you telling your story. We want to get these story times because we want everybody's story to be told, and we love hearing them. So please send us some stories. I'm dying for it. If you want to join our Discord, you can do so by going to mash.gg/Discord. Podcast reviews, it's the weirdest thing because the majority of the people that listen to the podcast are on Spotify, and Spotify is still dropping the ball and yet to have a review system. But if you could take the time, please go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, leave a review, leave a star. It helps us get discovered on Google. You can also go to warcraftradio.com/directory and leave us a review there. We appreciate the ones on Reddit, but they don't help us get seen on Google. So help us out, guys. We love you. For everyone that has taken the time to do that, thank you so much. All right, guys. Yep. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Cognitive Pit, or on YouTube, youtube.com/Cognitive Pit. And as TBC comes out, I will actually be putting more WoW content on my channel. There's just nothing I'm doing in Classic right now that's worthwhile. There's nothing.
Wait a second, though. Weren't you supposed to already have your song out for the storyboard?
Yeah, weird. It's almost as if it has been out.
Wait, okay, well then
it?
please plug that because I haven't
Nah,
seen
listen,
it.
listen. So I just put the song out, but what I submitted was a little bit more for the BlizzCon thing. So I didn't want to hype it up too much. It is there if you want to go see it. A little sample of it.
All right, where?
But there is more for the actual, hopefully the BlizzCon thing. I think they're doing a showcase. So, but you can see it right now on youtube.com/cognitivepit. But I do plug it every week.
I gotta check this out.
Okay,
Yeah,
sweet,
absolutely.
sweet.
Even your brother didn't know about it. Okay,
I
this is...
didn't even know.
Listen, it's pretty cool. It's cringe-inducing. What do you want from me? All right.
All right, Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch.
Awesome, awesome. And Bingo, last time I had to plug your podcast for you, so please
Yeah,
tell
sorry
people
about
where
that.
you can find Bingo and more Bingo.
I need to take out my last name from my like Instagram and Twitter, so I can't really, I don't want to be ganked in real life. But I got a
You have your
podcast called
last name on your Instagram and Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
Bingo.
man, I'm bad.
It's such a
Just
bingo
terrible,
moment.
but, yep, total bingo moment. I got a podcast every Monday called the Anonymous Advice Podcast. So if you want to tune into that and hear my voice every week, listen to Warcraft Reloaded and then listen to my podcast. So there you go.
And if you want to hear more of me, I was on this upcoming one.
Oh yeah, Yip is on an episode we filmed today. So that's
Yeah, I give great advice.
Oh, it's great.
I
It's
don't
beautiful.
know.
I give actual advice. I messed up. So
Do
normally he
you?
gives horrible advice. I came on and gave some.
My advice is always terrible.
Perfect.
Yeah, I
advice.
mean, well, Bingo's advice usually, yep, divorce.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta run away from your
That's
problems.
not gonna work.
Oh, man. All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can sometimes catch our raids at twitch.tv/BlazinBob, but you can always catch our podcast now and moving forward, usually Friday nights at twitch.tv/mashthosebuttons. Thank you, everybody in the chat that showed up and talked. Thank you, everybody who downloads every week. We appreciate you guys. And yeah, we're out, guys.
Bye.
See ya.